So here we are on another Monster Hunter adventure, and the first thing I noticed that was missing from this game is there were no English vocals to the Dango song. So I made some. 1, 2, 3, gazing at shiny lights in the sky. Suddenly some falling stars fly by. With eyes and mouths they look so sweet. Fluffy bunny dango, they're a tasty treat.
Here you go.
Hey J Hunts. Welcome to season 3 of Hey J Hunts. And season 2, man, that thing went by so fast. No, I'm just kidding. For those who are just joining, I am doing 2 journals simultaneously, going through Iceborne as well as Monster Hunter Rise. It might be a crazy thing. I might not keep doing this if it turns out it's too hard to do, but for now we're going to do it. And so in this journal, I'm going to be documenting my whole journey through Monster Hunter Rise, documenting my thoughts every week. I play it every Tuesday on Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern time if you want to join me then. And we're just going to go over how I'm progressing. Now, this is really interesting yet different, and interesting is probably the best word, because when I was going through my original Monster Hunter journals through World, the base world, every episode I was learning something new every week, and every week was a new discovery. After about 10 or 12 weeks, I don't know how many weeks I'm into my Monster Hunter career, I have a certain level of base skills now, and I'm going into Monster Hunter Rise at the beginning of the game, which kind of, it teaches a new player all the new things. I'm going in with this now wealth of knowledge, and I'm just like, I know how to do that. I know how to do that. So the first 4 hours of this game, none of it surprised me. So this is the first time I have a journal where I can't really say, oh my God, I learned this. I figured this out. It's kind of a more muted feel of, oh, we're in a new game with some new elements, but I didn't really learn anything. I just experienced some new things, and all the monsters were very simple to get through. I made it all the way to, I think, level 3, village level 3. I think that's what it's called, or 3-star quests. So I did all the monsters you could hunt in 1-star, 2-star. And there was no challenge. I went through all of them. And to make things a little bit more challenging, I decided I'm going to try an entirely new weapon for my Monster Hunter Rise. So in World, we started with Sword and Shield. We switched over to Switch Axe, and I've been mastering the Switch Axe slowly over the last few weeks. I went into Rise, and as I was trying different weapons on my big Froggo thing that is not a pole, definitely not a pole, it hits back. I had troubles with, so what did I start with first? Someone suggested I try a weapon that I am not. Oh, I think it was the lance. And I was like, all right, poke, sidestep, poke, sidestep. I don't want to do this. And I wanted something a little bit more fluid. I was trying one weapon after the other, and everything felt kind of slow and clunky because I don't know how to play them, not because it's actually slow and clunky. And I'm like, oh, let me feel it again. Let me grab the Switch Axe. I grabbed the Switch Axe, and I'm just like, boom, 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 boom. Like, it just flowed so well. Everything came out like so smoothly because I know how to use that weapon. And then I was like, well, that would just make this too much of a breeze. We gotta have something new. So in World, I was really drawn to the Charge Blade, and I always said I want to revisit the Charge Blade. And so I took out the Charge Blade for a run. In World, I kind of learned the whole charge up your files, put your files in your shield, charge up your shield, charge up your sword, do this massive like buzzsaw attack. So I kind of knew that. I got a refresher on that, but now chat has been teaching me how to do a little bit of parrying, especially with the Silkbind attack, where I can deflect a monster attack and then like come out with a charged sword and shield with my Charge Blade. And I'm loving it. I'm loving how it's coming together. And these monsters are the right level of difficulty for me to get used to the Charge Blade. So like going through all these monsters, while they weren't necessarily like challenging the way, let's say, an Anjanath was my first time I encountered it, the fact that I was learning a new weapon and pulling off new combos and just getting a feel for this weapon, that part was fun. For the monsters, so the first 5 monsters I tackled were the Great Izuki or Izuchi or the Great Zucchini, whatever you guys like to call it, Arzuros, the Great Baggy, the Big Bunny Lagombi. This is the segment where Hey Jay tries to pronounce all the names of the monsters and he gets them all wrong. And finally, Acnosam, which is the bird with the big thing that looks like a walking umbrella. So those are the 5 monsters I beat, and all of them were new experiences. And all of them, one thing I do not like about Monster Hunter Rise so far is all the monsters are so tiny. In World, the monsters felt big and epic. Even the Great Jagras was a pretty big iguana-like thing. He wasn't no Elder Dragon or anything like that, but he was still big. Like, these things are tiny. They're the size of your dog, and it's just like, I'm hunting a dog. It doesn't feel as good. So anyway, we're gonna get into those fights and everything, but first, so we talked about the Charge Blade. Making my hunter, that was probably the first hour. Now the whole making your character process is even longer, because after you're done the hunter, then you have to do your doggo, then you have to do your cat, and then oh my god, there's just so many things to do. So I don't know where this is going to fit in the Heijei Hunt lore. Like, is this my hunter after Iceborne? Is this an alternate dimension hunter? I don't know, but I went with a completely new look. So my hunter, whether he is related to the first hunter of World or not, he's now got some blue hair, gave him a little bit longer hair, as you know, the player in the ether, whatever I am, has also longer hair now. Made him look a little samurai-ish. Love how he looks. Maybe I'll grow out that hair same way, dye it blue, why not? For the dog, I don't think we did anything special with what he looks like, but when it comes to the name, and there's so many buddies in this game. Can we just take a moment to talk about how many buddies there are in this game? It's crazy. We're going to talk about that in a moment. The dog, I decided to name my dog Chat, because Chat is always carrying me anyways. So we might as well really push that metaphor to an actual literal sense. So Chat, welcome to my Monster Hunter Rise journey. You will now be the dog beneath my thighs throughout the journey. Classy is back, but I did not want to say it was the same Classy as my World journey, because I still haven't figured out how this fits in the timeline. Maybe we are a few generations down. Anyways, we named the cat Classy Jr., so he's related to Classy in some sense, but we're not sure how. Maybe Classy Jr. is Classy's father. We don't know. I leave that to you to interpret the Heijei timeline, the Heijei Hunts timeline. And then we got to name an owl. I still honestly don't know what this owl does, but it's always watching me, so we're going to call it the Council. So the owl is named the Council. Seriously, I played the game for 4 hours. I still don't know what that owl does. It introduces you to the owl Kahoot at the beginning. I've heard he is the replacement to the pig, Poogie. Oh my god, I'm already forgetting Poogie. And that is just an insult. I don't know if Poogie was a staple of the series or if he was a World one-off. But I am so sad I don't have my wiggly, happy little pig greeting me when I go into the game. Instead, I have this standoffish owl watching me from the distance. Kind of reminds me of a past relationship. But anyways, so many pets. And then outside of those pets, there's a whole buddy system where you can actually hire more dogs and more cats and just turn it into all a zoo. It's too much. It's too many options. Honestly, I'm shutting off that section of the game until I get a sense of everything else I'm doing. And on top of the buddy system, your buddies get skills now, and you can dress up your buddies. Like, this is turning into a living hunting animal. I almost said Animal Farm, which would be a very different story, but what's it called? Man, Animal Crossing? Is that what it's called? I'm thinking of an island. I'm like, where are they crossing? They're not crossing an island. It should be called Animal Island. But yeah, Animal Crossing. Except now they have skills, but you dress them up how you want, and then you go hunt. It's crazy. Too much buddy. The setting is cool. But I have to say, okay, the setting I love. I love the theme and everything. I love the music. The music's fantastic. But going into the game, if we compare going into World versus going into Rise, when I went into World, it felt epic. It felt like I was on a massive escapade, a journey into a new world, and we were going on an adventure. As much as we like to hate on the World story because it's not a great story, the beginning made me want to explore the world. It succeeded in that. Monster Hunter Rise just doesn't do that. It makes it feel like a cheaper, cartoonier, little one-off quest. And I'm not trying to be insulting with that, but on one, you're like on a boat. Okay, in World, you start off, you're on a boat, you're drinking, you're seeing all these faces, and then, oh my god, there's a big sea turtle, and oh, you're climbing the sea turtle, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're in a forest, let's explore this world. Like, wow. Here, I honestly don't remember how. I think, oh yeah, it starts off like an old tale of the Rampage and stuff, and then you wake up and there's 2 twins in your room and you're naked. Like, very, very different story. Very different story setup. Not that one is not. It's just different. So one thing I think World did better than Rise is just the story setting. I haven't gone to my first Rampage yet, so maybe that'll change when I understand what the whole Rampage thing is about. I know that the village gets under attack, but it doesn't seem special, but maybe once you experience it, it's different. So we'll see. Other little things about this game in the village that stood out. We now have a lottery system, which is kind of cool. You get like a bunch of random items for 500 zenies. Is that what it's called? Zenies? Zenies? Zeni sounds like something I shouldn't be saying on YouTube. Zennies. We'll go with Zennies. Lottery's all right. The cooking. How is there not a Monster Hunter cooking game? They could make millions of dollars with a Monster Hunter cooking game. And if it already exists, please, I need that in my life right now. Monster Hunter World with Meowskulls, he was setting the bar kind of low, where it's like, cool, muscular chef, but the animation looks really good. Everything he's making looks tasty. Then they one-up that by giving you Grand Meow, who's the most wholesome kitty in all the land, making the most delicious foods ever. Now they one-up that by giving you Dangos. Honestly, I've never had a Dango. I've never even used the word Dango. Is that even how it's... Yeah, it's Dango. Or Dango. I don't know. Never even said that word until now. And catchiest song, the most cutest wholesome cook that we must protect with our lives, and all the kitties playing with all the little mochi balls. It's too much. It's too much for this one hunter. This is too much cuteness, too much wholesomeness. But man, I want to play a Monster Hunter cooking game. I just want to cook. I'm tired of looking at the cooking and just shoving it in my mouth. I want to make the food with the palicos and with Grand Meow watching me judgingly from behind, where she's just like smiling but judging me with her eyes. You know the look. Sorry, I get very excited about cooking games. So when it comes to hunting these monsters, the Great Izuki, we've all fought him and killed him many times in the demo. It was really nothing interesting. The armor set though, the armor set's interesting. And okay, this was maybe entire luck, but I got the complete armor set after one hunt. I did one hunt and I got all 5 pieces of the armor. I think there was enough left over to give my Palico some armor, and I think the dog got a collar out of it too. That was like a buffet of parts that Izuki gave out. He was just shedding Izuki everywhere. The Arzuros, the bear, also fought him in the demo. Wasn't too exciting. He's kind of like my Pooh bear, because he's a bear. And the only bear I know is Winnie the Pooh. Yogi isn't interesting. His armor set, honestly, I don't care for it. And starting to look at armor skills more. Izuki had that critical stuff, which chat was telling me was good. So I'm like, all right, let's go with it. All the other armor set kind of didn't really matter. The Great Baggy, so, you know, he had the whole sleep thing. But because he's such an early level monster, like I was dodging him no problem. Like, oh, you're going to puke on me? I'm going to be behind you, slashing you 3 times before that even leaves your tongue. He put me asleep once though, because I was doing something stupid. But anyways, the Great Baggy's armor is kind of cool because I like blue and he's got like a blue sharp thing, but nothing cool. Like nothing that I would replace my base armor. I got Monster Hunter Rise of the Deluxe Edition, thanks to RGT85 for giving me a free copy of the game. And that comes with a really cool like straw hat, samurai outfit, layered armor. I've been rocking that the whole time, so it doesn't even matter all the pieces I'm assembling underneath that. I'm always going to look like a samurai until I can find an armor set that trumps that. And that should happen, but these monsters have not delivered yet. Next, we fought the Easter Bunny, aka Lagambi. It's a chunky bunny. It was fun to fight the chunky bunny. His armor set looks oddly familiar, like looks like one of the fluffy sets from Monster Hunter World from what I've seen, like the winter sets, but I'm not going to go with that. And then finally, the Walking Umbrella, we've got Aknosam, which had probably the best armor set so far. It has like this white knightish look, but it's not better than my straw hat samurai look. So we're going to be staying with that. Those are kind of the big highlights that stood out for me from my first stream. It was a little bit like second nature now that I know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah, item box. Let's set up our loadout. Let's do this. All right, let's go farm. Let's do the armor. Like I kind of know what to do. I'm in the grind. I know how to play the game now. And it's just like, all right, I need that rush. Give me that monster. But in the meantime, I like the pace that it's going at because I am learning how to use the charge blade, not the switch blade, the charge blade. And I'm learning how to use my silk bind attacks. And I'm also trying to learn how to mount another beast to bring it to the fight. So like all of these mechanics that should be second nature to Rise, you know, they are not second nature to me yet. So I'm enjoying practicing and getting to know the ropes with that. So I look forward to being more natural and bringing another monster to a fight, being able to wire bug out of attacks into attacks, using the charge blade as I want. I'm feeling that progress happening, so that's a great feeling. But like when we can start matching that with a challenging fight and it all comes together, that is maybe even better than a Monster Hunter cooking game. So that is my first journal of Monster Hunter Rise. I will be doing the next stream next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/AGOfficial. So be sure to follow there. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next journal. And until then, keep it classy. Welcome back, friends. Now, I've heard some feedback that this channel has maybe gone a little bit too much into adult humor on stream and in these YouTube videos. And so I make a pledge to kind of go back to being a little bit more classy here, and we will avoid immature adult jokes. Now, unfortunately, today we're also going to be talking about Khezu, who looks like a screeching leech. Why did they have to make it so bald and slimy? Why is he... I can't even say the word now. Is this skin hard or something? Pidgey hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Rise journal where I play through all of Monster Hunter Rise, hunt every monster, and document my journey through the process. If you like this, I've also done it for Monster Hunter World, and I'm currently doing it for Monster Hunter Iceborne, so subscribe and like the video if you're into that kind of stuff. If you're not, well, there's other videos from other YouTubers who do other things that I don't do, so you can always check that out. Now, this is stream number 2, and I've been comparing Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter World a lot because I am playing them simultaneously, and I just want to say, now that I'm getting into the flow of playing one and then the other, one and then the other, they are such different games. I think I'm going to drop the comparison at this point because when I'm playing one, it's very hard to even compare it to the other at this point because yes, they are the same, but they are also different. Even when I go back and look at my footage, they're both Monster Hunter games, but they feel and play so different. It feels like two entire different games. In Monster Hunter Rise, it does feel a lot more homey, a lot more like, oh, I'm in this village and we're hanging out and we're gonna go have some fun and hunt some monsters, and the whole music, the aesthetic, everything feels like its own world. And then when I jump over to World, it's like I'm in a whole like epic movie doing a whole different kind of journey. So in my mind, I think I am essentially playing two different games that just happen to have the same name in common. That's about it. So anyways, let's talk about what we did last week. It was a short stream, so I didn't do as much. But first thing is switch skills. And this, I don't think I'm far enough into the game to appreciate it. It only messed me up so far. So switch skills lets you play your weapons in different styles, which I'm all down for that. I like that specifically as I'm playing Monster Hunter World. Look at that, I'm already making a comparison after I said no comparisons. In Monster Hunter World, when I was at the end of my base world playthrough, I was getting a little tired of the same repetitive combo. The fact that you have switch skills lets you play the same weapon and change it up once you get tired. Now, I switched skills 4 hours into learning a new weapon, which was the Charge Blade, which was probably not a smart idea because I still don't have the Charge Blade down, as a lot of Charge Blade users can attest to when they watch me play and they're just like, oh, what is he doing? So I switched that, and then I went into a fight and I was trying to do all of my like sword attacks to charge up my sword and my shield, and it wasn't working. And that's when I realized, oh, switch skills removes that and puts more emphasis on the axe mode, where now the axe spins like some kind of like crazy gear, and you just like a chainsaw, and you just like right through a monster. I love that. So I think I'm going to spend more time on this version of the Charge Blade to get a sense of that, because I've been trying to play Charge Blade, I'm saying that right, with the sword and shield combo, and I've realized I gravitate more towards the axe, which is funny because in Switch Axe it's the same thing. You have an axe and a sword, and I keep playing the axe mode. So there's something I like about axes, and I think I'm just going to... I went into the Charge Blade really trying to master it the way other people play it, and other people have like the meta of the Charge Blade. And I think that was really holding me back, because when I played Switch Axe in World, I wasn't looking up how to optimize the gameplay. I wasn't really asking how to do this and that. I was asking how to do some certain combos, but I essentially learned on my own and felt and settled in what felt natural. And the more I played, the more I unlocked kind of higher ways to play it. And I think that is the key here. So with the Charge Blade, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to tune out everything, and I'm going to learn myself and play this the way I like to play. Even when you look at my switch axe skills in World, I am definitely not playing that weapon optimally. Like everyone's like, use the sword mode. And it's like, well, I don't like using the sword mode that much. I'm enjoying with the axe. So now with Charge Blade, I'm just going to play it the way I want to. And that it means using it mostly an axe. Charge Blade users, just look away. I'll eventually get better at it. But in the early days, I know it's going to be hard. So with the new switch skills, I went into my first fight, which was the Tetranodon, my big chunky duck / platypus. I love this monster. This is probably the first monster in Monster Hunter Rise where I'm like, I love it. You're chunky, you're big, and you know, I like my monsters chunky. Chunky.
I like 'em big. I like 'em chunky. I like 'em big. I like 'em plumpy. I like 'em round with something.
I really wanted this song and not get a copyright, all right? It's also the first monster that caused me a faint, which I will blame on the switch skills. But you know, if Tetranodon is my first faint, I'm okay with that. He is a good monster. He kind of emulates the whole like sumo approach. Like he's like a sumo. He like stomps with one foot and then you get gravity things. I love that he like grabs his gut and just like slams the gut on the ground, which I wasn't ready for. And I got gut slammed. He even like sat, like he jumped up and I was like, I don't even know what I was thinking, but he just like jumped down on me and just, I put up my shield, hoping my shield could deflect this probably like 2-ton duck from falling on me. And of course it didn't. But it was a fun fight. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed playing with him, even if he caused me a faint. I did not use my axe efficiently on him, or my Charge Blade, I should say. So as I get better with my weapon, I'm going to have to revisit this. The armor also, it's a very like tanky kind of Space Marine armor. It's also one of the more unique armors that I've seen so far in Rise that I really enjoy. So I wouldn't mind grinding out a Tetranodon and getting that armor look. Then we went back, we did a few quests, and you know, we joke about how easy Monster Hunter Rise is, despite me being in low rank. But there was this one quest I did, the supply run quest, which I don't even understand what is the point of it. They drop you, there's a cart, and then you just run up the map, you pick up 10 packages and you're done. And I'm just like, this isn't even hunt down like berries across the map. It's literally go in a straight line and pick up the drop packages and you're done. It felt really, really unsatisfying. And then I actually dabbled more into the buddy system. So now that I'm getting a little bit more of the other stuff kind of out of the way and I'm more comfortable with how to manage and all the menus and everything, I'm starting to go more into like the secondary aspects of the game. So the buddy system, saw that we could train them using some Lagniapples, which was, we're going to keep it classy, but I learned about the Lagniapple. And then we did some recruitment, and I love the fact, specifically because I'm streaming, I love the fact that I can recruit more buddies, because we're actually going to use this to, basically some high profile community members are now going to be named after Palamutes and Palicos in the game. And we've already named our first one. I think it was a Palamute named Takashi, as Takashi has been a very generous member of the Hey J community on streams. So I like that I can actually use a mechanic in game to integrate with the community aspect when I'm streaming. Other than that, we don't have enough buddies yet to go on to send out Meowcenaries and do stuff. So I'm probably going to unlock that next. And then the next big fight of the night was Khezu. Frickin' Khezu. Not only is this thing ugly, it is the living embodiment of whoever designed this monster knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, the thing is just bald, it is slimy, it looks like a leech, and it's disgusting. It's just so disgusting, and everything about it I hate. It's plus they made the skin hard, so like you try to oh man, this is really hard to talk about. But you try to like fight this thing, and like my axe was just like bouncing off of it, and I'm just like, oh my god, this thing is so annoying. Which also, this fight really made me hate the charge blade, the bone. I think it's called the bone charge blade is the one I'm using, which has a very low sharpness, which is why my axe kept bouncing off this thing. So it was just annoying because it kept screeching at me, and then it kept like extending its long neck at me, and it was really unpleasant to fight. For some reason, I tried to flash it, but it has no eyes, so that didn't really do much. The whole fight was a struggle. I fainted. I lost to this massive leech, and even I went to capture at one point. It's limping. I put my trap down, and it just nopes out of there. It flies out of the cave and goes somewhere else. So I had to end up, I think I killed it in the end. And then even though the whole fight was just terrible, was unsatisfying, I really hated looking at this thing. And then its armor is no better. Its armor looks like its flesh, which looks like a leech. And who wants to look like a leech? Like, it kind of looks like Assassin's Creed, honestly, like the base armor. But the chat had me look at all the other like versions of the weapons and stuff, and everything looks like you basically peeled the skin off a leech and just put it on yourself. And I don't want any of that on me. I don't want to look like Khezu. I don't want to smell like Khezu. I don't want to do anything related to Khezu. I don't even want to fight this thing ever again. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at it. It's gross. It's gross. The whole thing is just gross. Music's banging though. Its theme song, fantastic. So that was Khezu, and going from that to my next fight was like, it just felt so good. The next fight was Barroth, and this was a new experience for me in the Monster Hunter universe. It was the first time I fought a monster that I had memories of in another game, in a new game. And I really enjoyed Barroth in World. So to see my familiar monsters in Rise, this was fun. So I was already done with Charge Blade. After the whole banging on Khezu, I was done with Charge Blade. I'm like, I'm going to come back to Charge Blade when I have enough materials to build a proper Charge Blade that can actually cut through things. So we switched over to the hammer because I'm like, Barroth is a fun monster to bonk on. And this was an absolute fun fight. So it was familiar. Like I knew my monster. He moved very similarly to World. And then I got to play with the hammer, which was fun, especially because of the silk bind. So I know my way around the hammer a little bit. And so when I learned that you could like thwip above, hold the charge. So you hold the charge in your hammer, then you hold your silk bind charge, and then you just get launched and you come down and you like bonk like twice. And it's so satisfying. So I was always trying to position Barroth to kind of give me an opening where I could do that like 5-second charge and then just unleash like 200 to 300 damage on him, which at this point in the game, that is a lot of damage. So I got to pull that off twice. I felt way more in control. We also had Kulu in this fight. So I'm like, oh, my boy Kulu, get over here. And then I rode Kulu into battle, and then I was like hitting Barroth with Kulu, and it felt like I was just playing with old friends, and everybody was laughing, but it was just me laughing because everyone else was screeching in terror and dying. But it was a good time for me. So that fight was fun. The hammer was fun, but now I'm at a bit of a weird point where it's like, what do I do? I'm not enjoying the charge blade. I'm not enjoying the bone charge blade. I'm enjoying the charge blade's moveset. I'm not enjoying the bounce. The hammer was fun on Barroth, but I can't imagine using the hammer on every monster. So I'm kind of like, I guess we're going to play different weapons for a while until I settle on stuff. I definitely need to grind out more monsters. The next, going into next week, I'm at the part now where the Rampage is coming. So I'm going to have my first Rampage. I might go into that with my Switch Axe, maybe just to get like the sense. So I'm not fighting with my weapon, and I just can get a sense of what a Rampage actually is. Really excited for that. The difficulty is now to the point, I mean, I fainted twice. The monsters are getting a little bit bigger. The difficulty is at a place where I'm like, okay, I'm pleasantly challenged. This is good. It could still go up like a little bit more to make me sweat. I'd be okay with that. But right now it's kind of a fun challenge. I'm just having fun hunting some monsters I know with some new move sets and just getting to experiment and play. So it's a really good time. But man, Khezu, that thing is going to haunt my dreams or my nightmares. If any of you guys like Khezu, I don't know if we can be friends anymore. But anyways, that is it for my journal for this week. I'll see you all next week with another Monster Hunter Rise journal. And until then, keep it classy. Charge Blade mains, I have a confession. I really tried to be a Charge Blade user, but the switch axe was calling me, so I had to go back. As you've all said, you do not choose the weapon. The weapon chooses you. And I've tried to walk away from my calling, which is the switch axe. And I remember the fun times over the last 2 months as I've switched axe to the left. I've switched axe to the right. I've switched axe with all the best monsters so far. But here in Rise, I don't know what I've been doing. I've been a pretender, trying to be someone that I'm not, trying to be like one of the cool kids with my Charge Blade. But no more. I'm done denying my true nature, and we're going with switch axe. Khezu hunts! Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Rise journal where I go through all of Monster Hunter Rise and I hunt every monster and then I document my journey. If you like any of that or what that sounds like, be sure to like and subscribe to the video. You can't subscribe to the video. You can subscribe to the channel and then you can like the video and then you can leave a comment and then you can watch all the other videos. Let's talk about weapons. I think the switch axe is my calling. I haven't been having the most fun with Monster Hunter Rise. I'm going to be a little honest. Especially playing Monster Hunter World next to Monster Hunter Rise. And I'm like, why am I not having the same amount of fun? And I think I was losing out because I was trying to challenge myself with a new weapon. And I was trying to put a triangle piece in a square hole. And I was like, you know, I really have fun with the switch axe. And as much as I want to try all the other weapons, I'm still dating and very much in love with the switch axe. I'm not ready to move on from the switch axe. So I went back to the switch axe and I'm having a good time. And I have the switch skill now. And I'm having a good time with that too because I can do all my usual combo, but now I can thwip in the air and I can thwip into the monster and just slice the tail or the arm as I come. It is so graceful. It is so satisfying. I'm just a switch axe main through and through, and I don't think I can change that. Maybe when I hit 1,000 hours, if I ever get to that, maybe then I'll try changing weapons up. But for now, the switch axe. Let's talk about mechanics. Because I learned, I actually went out and researched something. I thought it was weird that there's this quest giver who keeps making a big deal about these great wire bugs that he gives you. I was like, what are these great wire bugs? And I learned that I've been hoarding these items that I didn't even realize I could go out into the field and plant great wire bugs, which thwip you across the map. And once you plant them, they are there forever. They are like base extensions. And I thought, because the game never made this clear, that they are one case use or that they are like usable items. But no, if you have great wire bugs, you get out there and you plant them. I haven't done this yet. So next time I'm streaming Monster Hunter Rise, we're planting great wire bugs left and right. I don't even know where to plant these things. So once I can do that, then it's going to be a whole different game. And I also learned that there's different camps to unlock. I haven't done that. One thing I have to say before we get into the monsters, I'm getting excited now. The Monster Hunter Rise has a very different element of exploration to the maps, and I'm starting to appreciate it. Like, I'm oftentimes just kind of rushing, go into the monster, but these things are calling to me of like, what's over there? What's over here? And at one point, so we uncovered the volcano level, and chat was trying to guide me to go to a place where I could mine a lot of things. And I had to like jump, back jump, and then they're like, jump there. And I was like, there's nothing there. It's a wall. They're like, no, jump, there's a hole. I was like, what? No, there's a wall. And I did like a leap of faith and I went through a wall and I was like, this is a visual illusion. And then I was like inside the volcano and I could like see the place where like Frodo and Sam were about to like throw the ring into Mount Doom. And then there was like things to explore. I'm just like, there will never be a monster here. This is entirely here just to be found. And I'm like, this game has a very cool sense of exploration, and it made me realize I don't think I've gone on an expedition in Rise to just have fun and explore things. I've been so focused on killing everything and progressing. I really should just chill and just enjoy and explore the levels and find the little nooks and crannies. All right, so that's enough of that, but it's cool because that was not necessarily there in World, and here it's a kind of like new feature of the game, which I like. So when we started, we went straight into my first rampage, and I hate it. I do like the idea behind it. I don't think it works as well in single player, and this is why I can't really grade it. It's also a tutorial level where they throw a bunch of things at you. I think Rampage maybe gets more fun the more I play it and the more intuitive that I start understanding the loop of, okay, we need to make sure we have this kind of weapon, all these weapons here. But for the tutorial, for the most part, I was really just trying to see like, what can I build? Where can I build? What's happening? How am I using this? In terms of the monsters coming in, I was really afraid it was going to be like the Zora fight in Monster Hunter World. I was pleasantly surprised that you can actually do decent damage with the artillery, and it kind of feels like a type of like stationary shoot 'em up. I don't know what you call that. But it was kind of satisfying, like trying to hit the head and keep the monsters back. And then as soon as the monster got knocked down, I'm like jumping out and I'm like, oh, let's swing our axe. And everyone's like, get back on your artillery. Everyone being chat. They're like, you're not supposed to run. I mean, you can play however you want, but I learned later on that when there's like a bell or a call or a horn, I forget what it was, that goes, then you get the hunter buff, and then you're encouraged to go and slay monsters like in hand-to-hand combat. I just couldn't help myself. I just had to swing my axe to some of these beasts' head. But it was fun, and then we got like the big chunky boy at the end who shows up, and then we fight him, and then we finally got our Magna Malo introduction, which, you know, he looked pretty intimidating, but that was my big takeaway. I'm like, oh, okay, he's a little bit bigger and looks kind of more powerful than anywhere else I've seen him. So it was a pretty cool intro, but nothing like an Elder Dragon from World. And then we unlocked the Rampage skill, which is unique to the weapons, which I did not know that was a thing. So pleasantly surprised to learn that there's a whole other layer of skill that you can apply to your weapons on top of like switching your weapons up. Now there's a skill you can add from Rampage. I'm not quite sure how that works yet, but I unlocked a new mechanic to learn more about. Now, when we go into the monster list, I killed 6 monsters this past week. It was a pretty busy week, but we're also still in low rank, so none of these monsters are as exciting to me as, say, my progression in, Master rank in Iceborne. So I'm just really kind of having fun, especially now that I've moved over to the Switch Axe. They're a lot more about just learning how they move and seeing what the combat's about. And I had fun. So Kuluyaku was the first one. And again, that same feeling that I had last week with Barroth, where it's like, it's an old friend. It was a little weird that I couldn't snap a rock at him to make him drop. So I had to kind of work around that because I did that a lot in World. And now he like grabs pots and stuff, and sometimes he just holds his rock in like defense mode and like makes my axe bounce off. But we had a good time playing with Kulu, and we slayed him, and then I could have made armor with him, but I'm not a big fan of his armor set. The next was a new monster for me, the Royal Ludroth, which I really enjoyed this fight. It was a fun fight. I think I learned that like his squishy bits are the sensitive parts. I noticed I was doing a lot more damage in the squishy bits. It was also the first fight where I was using the Switch Axe's switch skills. So it's the one where you fly in the air and like whoop into him. It was just a really like good, fun fight. His armor, it looks like a ripe banana. I wish it was more banana-ish so that I could really like own being a banana, but it wasn't bold enough for my taste. Next, we went with the Bishaten, which this is probably the highlight fight for me of the week. So this is a monkey, and so much personality in this fight. He projects well, and he's like constantly like throwing fruit at you that have different consequences. Like once he like shields his eyes and throws like a flash bomb. Sometimes he just throws like a bomb at you. He throws other things, poison bombs at you. He sticks on the walls and stuff. I just loved the personality of this monkey. And at one point I like smacked him down and all his fruit went out, and I was like, oh, I can pick this up. And I'm like, oh, I can pick this up. And then I just like started like hoarding all the items because, oh, if I can rob a monster before I murder, that sounds terrible. But if that sounds really bad. If I can, he was throwing that shit at me. So if I can take it away from him, that feels good. Fun fight. I also really liked his armor. And then we had a Volvidon. we'll go with Volvidon. Cute little armadillo. Very cute. I haven't seen an armadillo in Monster Hunter before. I really love the volcano level, although it's huge. I got lost a lot. But it really reminded me of like a Hyrule Warriors, what's it called? Well, the lava level in Hyrule Warriors had similar vibes to that. Stinky boy. You gotta be careful with Volvidon. He just kind of like lets out the yellow steam. Also looks like a skunk spray. He was a lot faster than I expected. And yeah, faster, and I had troubles doing the amount of damage I wanted on him. So it was kind of like, because he moves around so much, I just had troubles landing blows on him. But otherwise, fun fight, cool armor, cool level, cool Volvidon. Then we jumped over to Basarios, which is another favorite of mine from the week. And this is like a rock wyvern, and I think he's a baby from what I heard. Adorable. He made me cart, so props to you, Basarios. You get another notch on the Monster versus Hey J belt. But this was just a really fun fight to try to figure out. You know, the fact that he was a rock monster makes it that I knew that I couldn't. I think this was one of the monsters where I started using a little bit more of my newfound appreciation for taking a monster head on. Like, I'm learning that if I can be more aggressive than the monster and face it head on, I can create openings for myself. I just have to believe in the heart of the weapon. And it was a really good dance. And the fact that he carded me kind of like raised the stakes. So I'm like, oh, we got to take this seriously. So I'm looking forward to fighting this one again. I enjoyed it. The armor didn't really do anything special for me, but the fight did. Like, this was a fun fight. All the new monsters this week, the Royal Ludroth, Bishaten, Basarios, those were really my top 3 fights. I mean, Volvidon looked cool, but just the fact that he was hard to actually land a hit on made it a little bit of an annoying fight compared to the other ones. And then we wrapped the whole thing up with having another play date with our Rathian. And this one was so... I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say nostalgia because I just discovered a Rathian like 2 months ago, but I knew the dance already, and it just felt like I'm just like dancing and like shredding the Rathian. Oh, there goes the tail, riding the wyvern, boom, into the wall you go. And I could have, like, it was second nature. Like, it wasn't the most smooth fight, but I was not intimidated. I remember the first time I thought fought a Rathian, I was like, oh my god, it's so scary. Oh my god, it's hurting me. Scream, scream, scream. And this time I'm just like, where's she at? Where's she at? Come and play. She's growling. I'm like, that's right, you growl. Smack on the face. Shoot fireball, smack on the face. And I'm just smacking. I'm like, there goes your tail. It's a very different feeling. Like, honestly, it's, and again, it's because I'm in village quest low rank, so I don't want to taunt the game in its difficulty. But Monster Hunter Rise right now, it's like a very friendly playground where I'm hacking and slashing all my monsters with relative ease, and then I like go to Iceborne later in the week and I just sweat because I'm like, oh my god, what next scary thing is going to hurt me? So the dynamic of emotion I'm experiencing between these two games is just crazy. But I'm not gonna get cocky because I know Rise is just out. There's still a lot of challenge to be had. And it's never going to give me the same level of fear that I got from my first Monster Hunter game, because as a lot of you have said, the hunter skill carries over. So I'm never going to be at that noob level, but as the Monster Hunter rises in difficulty, I'm eventually going to get in that uncomfortable zone of, all right, you got to smarten up and you got to use your noggin. So that's all that I've experienced in Monster Hunter Rise this week. We've unlocked, I think, the 4-star ranks. I saw Barroth is on the list, so I'm looking forward to fighting him. I'm seeing some familiar names now, and I'm like, ooh, what's he like in this game? And I think it goes up to 6-star if I heard right in this game before we wrap up the village quest, and then we start grinding high rank. So looking forward to kind of getting into the high rank quests and really starting to get to that part of the game. But I'm still having fun discovering what monsters are in this, and then we're gonna have a lot of fun discovering all the little nooks and crannies and finding like the scrolls and finding all the spot where to put some great wire bugs and experimenting. So yeah, I have a lot of things I'm still looking forward to in this game, but you'll have to find out in the next journal what those things are as I uncover them. So I'll see you in that journal, and until then, keep it classy. So this week I decided I needed to do some major catch up on Monster Hunter Rise. I mean, I'm still in village rank. We have a new update coming out very soon at the end of April. So I had to book it. So I got on my Palamute, I went quick, started slaying some monsters, and then the worst thing happened. Why is the ending so soon? Pidgey hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Journal where I go through all of Monster Hunter Rise with a pledge to take down every single monster available, hunt them down specifically, and then I document my journey. If you're into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about almost the end of village rank, and I have to say, 10 hours rolling the credits. Was not expecting that. My only impression of Monster Hunter is World, and it took me 50 hours before I hit the first set of credits on that. So to hit credits so quick on another Monster Hunter really caught me off guard. We're going to be talking a lot about Magnum Aloe today. Had my first fight with him, and it's just been such a bizarre experience to hit credits that quick on Monster Hunter. Now I understand that there are multiple credits, but still hitting credits that early threw me off. So this week I did something I have not done in a while in Monster Hunter Rise, or I have not done properly in Monster Hunter Rise, and that is I put off all hunting and we just went for a stroll. We explored this world, we took it in. I did a lot of fetch quests, which had me just going, what's over here? What happens if I go here? And of course, as I said last week, I discovered what great wire bugs are for. And so I went out and looked for places to do, to set these great wire bugs. I've also taken the time to unlock a few additional camps, which is something I had not done prior. So now we're starting to pop up camps around the regions. And it was really fun. It was like a whole different game. I went to the swamp level with the pyramid, and some people were saying, oh, I wonder if you can find out the secret of the pyramid. I was like, oh, what's the secret of the pyramid? So I started climbing the pyramid, and I learned that my stamina can go for quite a while. So for like a good bit, like I was just running around the pyramid, trying to find entrances, seeing where I could get into. And I think that's kind of one of the fun bits of the wire bug outside of its use in combat, is the fact that you can go, what's over there? What happens if I do that? And when I made it to one part of the pyramid, I realized I needed a bomb barrel. Now I didn't have any on me, but now I know that, oh, next time I'm gonna go there with bomb barrel, we're gonna open this. What could possibly be behind this door? I'm really excited for that. So throughout this exploring, I picked up a lot more of these relics, which prior to this stream, I only had one relic, which I completely found by accident. And now I actually found in my notebook that all the relics are kind of laid out like an achievement. Now I know that's not what they're intended for, but that just gave me like, oh, I must collect all the relics. And I saw too the fact that it like tells a story, and there's 10, I've learned that there's 10 relics per map, and I think there's 60 in total. So I'm like, gotta catch them all, gotta get them all. I love collecting things, and it sounds like some of these are going to be really hard to find. Some people in the chat were saying some of these are just completely not obvious. But this is a whole new element that I'm just like, all right, I'm down for this. I'm going to have some fun just looking and trying to find these things. We, in terms of hunts, I did quite a few hunts, including 246. So we did 6 monsters this week. And like I said, I caught up a lot. So I cleared out, I think, village rank 3 quests. I think 1, 2, 3 are completely done. Maybe 4, I could be forgetting wrong. Sure, written that down. But we start with the great Wagi or Raggy. Oh my God, I didn't even write it right. I can't even read my own writing. Anyways, the great, we'll call it the Raggy. Didn't care for it. It was really one of those monsters that falls into like the great baggy, and there's so many monsters in that family that just feel all the same. They basically look like raptors with a big sickle, you know what I mean, scythe. That's what I was trying to say. Scythe on their tail. And I don't know why they needed so many monsters of that type in this game. So I almost died to it because I wasn't paying attention sometimes, and I was getting a little bit too aggressive. And I don't know if it's my armor setup that's not right. I have not been upgrading my armor like with spheres or anything. But all the monsters this week were doing a lot of damage for being low rank. And I'm like, each hit was taking maybe a quarter of my health or so, or like a 6. Like they were massive chunks. And I was like, I'm feel a little bit too squishy. So I think I might have to put a little bit of time into upgrading my armor properly. So really nothing of note there. We killed them. Oh, so I took some of your feedback. Never say, hey, Jay doesn't listen. And I started trying to do more morphing combat style between the axe and the sword. I've been doing it in World and I've been doing it in Rise now. This was my first time doing it in Rise, where instead of just kind of like staying in axe mode and slamming one of the two buttons, I like try to go between, I try to dance between the sword and the axe. And a lot more times I had my axe charged with like the electrical buzz stuff, and that looked cool. And I could see a lot more damage, and it's starting to flow more. I'm not where I want to be with it yet, but it's getting there. So I think I'm getting there. I'm not being hard-headed and saying axe mode is only for me. I'm trying. I'm actively trying. It's feeling all right, and I'm going to get to more of a actually using the switch part of the switch axe. Next up, we had Barroth. I was so excited for Barroth. He was a huge challenge for me in World, and so to fight him in a village quest, I was like, what is this going to be like? What is a basically neutered Barroth going to be like? And for Rise, he was one of the more aggressive monsters. He almost made me cart, but it was, again, that familiarity that was great, but also the aggressiveness, but a little bit toned down where I could still feel like on edge that, oh man, this was such a beast. Like the first time I fought him was in Master Rank in World, and now here I am fighting him in Village Quest, and he's still making me sweat. So I'm just like, oh my God, how hard would this be in a Master Rank version of Rise? One can only imagine. Still terrifying monster, but beat him fairly easy. A, because I knew a little bit of his pattern, and B, because it was Village Quest. Next, I went after Somnicanth, which I think is my first Leviathan, I think is what you call them. Is that what they're called? Sea Wyverns? Something. They're a special class, and there are none in World. And I forget what they're called. I think they're Leviathans. Anyways, Somnicanth had a very, very beautiful like design. I really liked the way that she moved. So a lot of things in this game, they either like, you know, they either choo-choo like this, or they're mostly on two legs. This one like slithers, but then like goes up on two legs, sometimes goes on four legs. Like I felt it just had every mobility. Sometimes it's just like swimming on its back, and then you're just like hacking it, which I felt terrible for. Really cool how I think there was like a radius attack too that you had to jump, or as I learned later, you can interrupt her so that she cannot actually, I was not successful in the jump, so I'm not sure if you can actually jump the radius attack. Instead, I learned you have to go up and interrupt her so she can't even cast it. And that is stressful. Like when you see a monster getting ready to unleash an attack that you know is an AoE that's going to hurt you, you're like, well, let's hope I can do enough damage and stop her. Luckily I did, but man, like getting in there, that pressure, it's a lot. So Somnicanth was a fun monster, which I'm really surprised because she is more of a water-based monster, and I usually don't like water. And then I was surprised that Magnum Aloe shows up already. I was like, what? I'm not ready to fight this guy. He's like, I thought he was endgame content. What are we doing fighting him so soon? So Magnum Aloe, I have to say, throughout Rise, the style to introduce the monster before the level, I don't know if that's the standard, but again, my experience is you go into a map and you find a monster, and that's when you get like kind of that intro cutscene. So I don't know what the standard is, but in Rise, up to this point, I was enjoying having like that little like backstory kind of like cutscene, and then you go into the map and you find it, because then you just kind of like, okay, this is what I'm fighting. The stage is set. Let's go find it. But in the case of Magnum Aloe, it's the only time where I was not satisfied with that format. And I'm thinking back to World when the big, like really intimidating beast, part of the thrill was that you either had a name to go on or a little cartoony, like chibi picture in your notebook, and you're like, go hunt that. And you have no idea what it is. And you're looking around the map for it, not knowing what you're looking for. And you're finding like footprints and stuff. And then all of a sudden, cutscene, boom, you got the reveal of the monster, and you're just like, oh my God. And for Magnum Aloe being the flagship monster, I feel that would have worked better. But now we've already met him in Rampage. We've gotten the cutscene, and now it's just a matter of let's go on the map and let's find him. And then as you're like running, you're like, oh, there's the big chunky boy. And then you just start wailing on him. So the build up for the hunt is not as satisfying in Rise in that format for specifically the flagship monster. And, you know, I'm thinking back to Nergigante, which was the flagship monster of World. The reveal of that, actually him, you knew what you were getting into, but still when you made it to the part where you had to fight him and he like breaks through the door and like the music and then he just roars at you, like you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. With Magnum Mallow, I went in with way more confidence and I'm just like, oh, this guy's gonna die so fast. And I just like, I went in with so much aggro and so nonchalanty. I carded twice and I was really starting to sweat. I did not think I was going to beat him. After the first cart is when I started going serious because my health just went shoop, and the second cart, my health went down even faster. So he was using, I wasn't paying attention to my health as much because I wasn't used to my health going down in chunks so big. Magnum Mallow hits hard and he has these all sorts of attacks that honestly I still don't know his whole attack set because I was being too aggressive instead of being a little bit more cautious and seeing what he was doing. So in the third, on my last cart, I was really trying to keep my distance and trying to create openings, and it was just terrifying because I'm like, this guy is going to kill me. But I was getting so much into the rush of the new like switch axe mechanic that I was playing with. Just seeing like the damage counter was like, oh, more damage, and then he'd just be like boom, like he'd be a bomb and I would just die, or he'd like jump on me because he's so fast. So the difficulty in this game has gone to the point where I can't take it as a joke anymore. Like up to this point, I think that's the problem. I've been going too much like swish swash, everything can fall to my axe, no problem. We're getting into serious territory now. We're at the end of village quests. We're going to be getting into like high rank soon. The monsters are starting to be like, smarten up, boy. And that I can't say enough for the next two fights. So the next one, of course, credits roll. I'm just like, what? And anyways, so we go back. Anjanath was my next one. I was so excited for Anjanath. I have a very special bond with this monster. So I go in again with the same kind of like confidence and cockiness because I know Anjanath. I have a lot of fun playing with him in World. And here I'm like, let's do the same thing. But I don't know if it's because I'm more squishy. Probably because I'm more squishy. I don't think they've added really more moves. But I got close to a cart. I was like, okay, we got to take this seriously. I am not in World where my armor is like super high. I am still squishy. So be careful not to get hit and be a little bit more serious as a hunter. And I don't have my mantles, which is another thing I'm realizing. I don't have mantles to rely on, so I have to be a little bit more smart in my hunts. So Anjanath was fun. It was great to see him. It was great to fight him again. The next monster, and this is what I finished on, and I think this was way more of a noticeable, more of a standout fight than Magnum Mallow for me. It was Zinogre. Oh my god, was that thing hard. It started off so good, so easy, and then he charges up and he's all like Pikachu style and like throwing lightning bolts and thunderballs at me, and I carded twice and I was trying hard. I did not go into this fight cocky at all. I went in with my guard up and I still was getting carded, and on the last one I'm like, I'm gonna faint to this. This is gonna be my first failed quest. And I don't even know how I did. I was being extremely cautious after my second cart. And I was just keeping some distance, going in with a few like fights. And especially when he was charged up, I was being way more defensive there. But the best part is I was able to kill him with a boom. I love it when I can finish off a monster with a boom. So of course I did my elemental discharge, I think it's called, or zero sum discharge. And right when it booms and then the monster faints, it's like, chef's kiss. So those were the fights. I'm at the point where I'm not like, we're just kind of plowing through everything in Rise. I think the game is going to be challenging me from this point on because I was definitely challenged this past week. And now it's a matter of, okay, we got to get smart. We got to hunt smart and stop taking this as a joke. Few other notes from this past week. So we got Classy Jr., a new outfit. He's got the coolest like cowboy hat, glasses, a mustache. Now he's got a guitar. So like he's such a hippie sometimes. We're in a fight and then he can just be like playing his guitar and like planting a tree, and he's got his sunglasses with his like long mustache. This cat has gotten so much more charming all of a sudden. Like through Rise, he wasn't really standing out because I think the Palamute was overshadowing him. But now he's back. He's back in the band. He's back at the forefront of being the coolest cat. And I love this cat so much. Another thing that some people did not realize, so because I went through village quest only and I was not doing hub quests, I unlocked something called the license quest or something. So if you only grind in village and you don't touch hub, eventually you can do a license quest, which unlocks hub quests. And some of you know this, but I realize some of you did not know this if you were kind of leveling up the two types of quests at the same time. I think that's really cool because from what I understand, the guild hub quests are the same as the village quest, just a little harder. So the fact that you can progress through village and then kind of skip ahead in guild helps for progression. Note that I will still go and do everything in guild quests because I want the check marks and I just want everything complete. But for anyone who didn't know that, that's a very cool progression mechanic. That's very thoughtful of the Capcom team for doing that. So for next week, I think I'm going to be able to completely clear out village quests and we're going to be done. And now I'm going to be going into low rank and going into high rank just in time for the Apex Rathalos dropping with the new content update. So we're almost right on cue for the content update. I think I'm a little bit behind, but I'm good. I'm good where I am. So if you're into that, I'll be streaming that on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/AJOfficial. Be sure to join me then. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next Monster Hunter Journal. And until then, keep it classy. All right, I see why they call it Monster Hunter Rise. It's because my faint counter is going to keep rising. Pidgey hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Journal where I document my entire journey of playing Monster Hunter Rise with the goal of hunting every single monster at least once on my own. If you're into that journey, be sure to subscribe and follow along. I've also got another journal series for Monster Hunter World, and I'm also doing Iceborne at the same time, same deal. And now I'm also doing Witcher 3, so if you're into that, join along for the journal series here on Hey Jay. So let's talk about this past week's Monster Hunter Rise, which saw me slay quite a few monsters. I was really trying to get out of low rank, aka village rank, and I did not succeed. Village rank just goes on. It's so long, like, what's his name? Almudron. And I just realized now Almudron rhymes with long. I have a lot to say about Almudron. We're going to get to him in a moment. But all I can say, village rank, level 4 and under, all done. I got all the check marks. I'm passing my classes. I think I've got 2 more levels of village rank, and then we're done. We can move over to hub rank, and we can start grinding there to eventually get into high rank and catch up with all of you on the update. As much as I made fun of the credits rolling last week and the story being very short, there's a lot packed into this game. And not that I had any doubts for a Monster Hunter game, but man, the more I tackle this, the more I'm just like, it just keeps going. I'm okay with that. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. So I've taken some of your feedback, and I have to say, this is one of the things I like about having weekly progression, checkpoints with all of you. I feel like you're all my managers, and I get to check in with you, and I'm like, all right, here's what's going on the work. Here's what's going on the job. I think my Palamute is really not being honest with me. I think he just tells me what I want to hear. And then the Palico, I think he's secretly plotting to take over. What should I do? And a lot of you pointed out the fact that my Rising Wyvern attack, the new switch skill that I had been trying to use for the last few weeks, I was just not very good at it. And a lot of you said, why don't you go back to the original one, which pulls you and closes the gap with the monster so that you can do more damage instead of whirling up in the air, pretending like you're cool, but achieving nothing. And I was like, you know what? You're onto something there. So I switched my switch skill once more. We went back to the old toss the bug, pull me close to the monster. And oh man, after so many times of getting tossed in the air, not knowing what I'm doing, this is way more in line with my natural moveset. And I felt my damage just really skyrocket this week in terms of how much I was being aggressive on the monster. It's like, oh, you're running away, let me get in there, bang, bang, bang. Oh, you're running away, let me get in there, bang, bang, bang. And even if they weren't running away and they were about to do an attack, I'm like, I'm not sure what you're gonna do, let me get in there, bang, bang, bang. It just flowed so much better. So I'm not sure if these are the only 2 attacks I get to play with. I really hope that there are more variances that I can test with. I would really like that. All right, so let's get into our monster grind. Starting off, I knocked out Puke Puke. Puke Puke is always a good time. In fact, I enjoyed my first encounter with Puke Puke in Rise more than I did in World. Here I am comparing the games I said I would never compare, but can't help it. on stream, I was saying, did he always have that like tail blast attack? Everyone said yes, but I don't remember it being used as much in low rank the first time I fought him. I remember the tongue being the biggest thing where he's like spitting poison. But in this one, I was like, oh, they're using the water version of Puke Puke, like the coral Puke Puke's tail attack more here. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I just felt like he was using his tail blaster a lot more often in low rank Rise than he was in low rank World. So that threw me off a little bit. But other than that, Puke Puke has been slain, and another one bites the dust. Toby was the next one, and I was a little bit scared of this one, truthfully, because while low rank has been slapping me around a little bit more than it should, as you can see from the faint counter, which is now in double digits, and I'm not even out of village rank. What is going on? But Toby Kadachi, this thing was terrifying to me in World the first time I met it because it was so fast. And people said, oh, they really boosted him in Rise. So I was going into this fight with my guard up of like, okay, this is going to be tough. And honestly, it was the first time I looked at Toby and I was like, you're not as fast as I remember. Probably because I fought so much more aggressive and faster monsters since. Toby was just like, oh, you're jumping, you're roaring. I know exactly what you're going to do. His projection, his attack projection felt a lot more clearer now that I knew him and now that I had experienced much faster battles before. So Toby Kadachi was not as difficult as I was anticipating. And I didn't go in fully prepared either, where like I had my full anti-paralysis armor on. So overall, Toby was pretty easy. Then there was this one match. It was my first arena match, and I was really looking forward to it. It's called the Third Wheel, and it has one of my favorite monsters. I think it's safe to say my favorite monster right now in Monster Hunter Rise is Tetranodon, I believe his name is. Big chunky boy. So Tetranodon and Azeroth. So you're the third wheel, or maybe Azeroth is the third wheel. Who knows? It all depends on perspective. And you're in the arena, and again, it was just a fun time because they didn't really pose much of a challenge to me. This was really me just having fun experimenting with my moveset, playing around in the arena for the first time. At one point, I was like trying to hide on a tower to like observe the battlefield and see what's going to happen, not realizing those towers can collapse. And Azeroth was just like, rah, 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 and like, and while Tetradon was like sniping me with his water gun, and I was like, what? This breaks. But it was a good time. In the end, they both fell. But I'm liking these arena battles already being introduced in Village. Next, Mizutsune, my first like official Mizutsune fight that isn't a demo. So the only other time I fought Mizutsune was in a demo. It was super hard. It took me 30 minutes. I died multiple times in the demo. So guard was up here. I think it really helped that I knew what its attack set was. I also knew, I was also in Village quests. So Mizutsune did not kill me if I remember right. And it was just a lot more fun to play now that I knew what to anticipate when I had like the blast and where to get into. Playing really close and aggressive seemed to be working in my favor here. So Mizutsune again, fair fight. Now we're getting into dangerous territory. Rathalos. Finally got to fight Rathalos. And I have to say, this made me think of a whole different time. The first time I met Rathalos was in World when I think I was like picking berries or something. I don't know. And then there were some cows mooing in the background, dino cows, and Rathalos just swept in. But I didn't see him. I heard him before I saw him. And that was my first introduction to Rathalos. I was just like, whoa, what's going on? This was one of my highlights for Monster Hunter World, where I didn't even know such a monster existed, such a creature existed. I didn't know what it looked like. And it was intimidating. It was scary. I was like, I have to fight that eventually. And I was terrified. There's even a journal on it where you can see my original reaction to it. That made me realize I missed that. And I think this was in other Monster Hunter games. I could be wrong, but the fact that in Rise, you're never introduced to a monster optionally where you're like running around and you go, oh my god, what is that? And that was an experience that was so special to me in my journey. I really think it is unfortunate that players who are getting into the franchise for the first time in Rise cannot experience that fear and that awe of discovering a new monster simply by roaming on a low rank quest and just being shocked and surprised to later have to fight it. So anyway, that just made me remind me of my first time with Rathalos and how I missed that. But the fight with Rathalos, I was like, all right, I know how to fight Rathalos. I went in and I got slapped hard. I don't know why. I don't know why it was so hard to fight Rathalos, but he was juggling me and fire blasting me, and I had a lot of troubles keeping aggro on him and sticking to him. And I think the flash bombs were not working as good as I was hoping for. And I just did not have control of the fight. The way that I turn the fight around is by grabbing a monster and bringing another monster to help me into the fight, and then just being a little bit more defensive. But this Rathalos fight, I was just surprised. I was like, I know Rathalos. I know how to fight it. Why am I struggling so much? I don't have an answer. But he did a good job at not being a pushover. And I think maybe it could have been my own cockiness too, because that sometimes gets the best of me. But anyways, it was a fun fight. Love fighting my familiar monsters. I don't know if they tweaked something about them, because yeah, I got slapped around quite a bit. The next fight, I think, was one of two very difficult fights this past week. Almudron, the big hermit monster. And I love the design of this character. When I saw him in a trailer for the first time, I was like, I can relate to this thing as someone who hermits in his own home most of the year when there isn't a pandemic going around. And I thought it was gonna, I knew he was a mudslinger. I love his big beard. What I did not know is how long this is. Like, it just goes on. His tail just like sweeps half the map away when it swings. His big like mud hammer, like he jumps and extends. So my play style is very getting close and like kind of stay mid-range. But that mid-range, when I'm looking for opportunities, was a death zone. Like, he was slamming me hard there. So I had to adapt and come up with a new playstyle for Almudron, where it was get in, be aggressive, and then when I was starting to observe when he was being more aggressive, I actually went long range. So I would actually get on my Palamute, which started synergizing as a whole new way to play for me, where I get in up close, do my damage, summon the Palamute, get out, and sharpen as I'm like observing from really far away. That strategy proved very useful, and the fact that I can have that speed and mobility of the Palamute while sharpening is also helping me get over the fact that I lose my sharpness really quick with this weapon. So I'm finally getting into I found a whole new way to jive with my weapon, my Palamute, my gear, and my play style, so that now I'm playing in a way that is a lot more comfortable. Get in, do your damage, get out, recoup, reassemble, get back in, keep doing it. So once that clicked, and I love it when things click in this game, Almudron was no problem at that point. Still though, terrifying how fast and long, so long. All right. After this, last week I talked about how these new like license quests come in. So if you keep grinding village quests without touching hub quests, which is what I'm doing, you eventually unlock special licensing quests, which lets you skip hub unlocks if you want. I won't. So we did one last week, and now we unlocked the second one this week, which pits you against the Great Izuki, Bishutin, and Magnamalo. And you have to do it kind of one after the other. And I was a little bit concerned about a rematch with Magnamalo, but overall, smooth. Great Izuki, Bishutin, and Magnamalo, they all went down pretty easy. Now they do have reduced health in this case, but also my new playstyle of getting close and the Palamute far really did wonders for me with Magnamalo. And also the fact that I now have my like pull in close move, all of that combined to make a much easier fight, which just goes to show you how crazy it is when you actually learn the mechanics of this game, how much easier, or not just learn the mechanics because I know them, but when you find the right mechanics for your playstyle, it's just night and day. So we unlocked that, which now unlocks, I think, the final license quests, special assignment 3. I have not taken it on yet. That's probably next week. And then the last fight of the night was against Argosy. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. But whoa, this thing hit me so hard. It hit me all the way back to like 2020. Again, cool monster design. I love how he like ices his hands and he has like blades, and then he'll like try to attack you, and if you're too far, he's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna throw my blade at you. And he's fast, like he's chunky, but he's fast and he's aggressive. And again, I play a little bit aggressive in the beginning, which I don't know why. I used to be, I think, more defensive in World, maybe because everything's more like epic, so I'm like, let's stay away. But in Rise, because of my speed and mobility, I tend to be more aggressive, and I'm just like, let me get in here, let me fight you, and I'll figure it out. And then I faint, and then I'm like, okay, let's see what you're doing. Fun fight, Gosharag, but man, was I sweating. Like, this was hard, and I'm still like, this is just village quest. I've seen the next lineup of monsters just in 6-star for village quest. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be hard. And I'm like, I still have to get into hub quest, which is harder. And then there's high rank quest, which is gonna be harder. And then there's eventually G rank or master rank quest, which is gonna be so hard. And then I have apex monsters. I'm just like, I'm already at double-digit faints. I was supposed to get through village quest with no faints. What's wrong with me? How high is this counter gonna go? I think I'm gonna struggle more in Rise than in World long term. But I'm having a good time. It's fun. And man, you guys weren't kidding when you said the difficulty is going to pick up, because it's picking up. And I'm not even out of like the tutorial gates yet, and I'm already starting to be like, whoo, can we take a break? But that's I don't know if I will. I'm going to really try hard next week to finish village quests. So I only have to clear out a few more in 5-star. I have quite a few in 6-star, but there's less quests. And I think next week village quest is closed shut, and we're going to be moving to hub quests, which is going to be a whole next leg of my journey. So really looking forward to kind of graduating to the next stage in this game, so that I can eventually start doing multiplayer with all of you, which I think that's still months away at the speed I'm going and the size of this game. But yeah, it's a fun ride. We're enjoying it while we can. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next journal, and until then, keep it classy. Fellow hunters, the monster hunting kind, sit down. We need to talk. I'm still enjoying Monster Hunter Rise. I'm still enjoying Monster Hunter World. I'm still enjoying this franchise. But we need to talk about the problems of Monster Hunter Rise, because I just experienced my first Apex monster, and specifically a full-on multiplayer rampage, and there's some issues here. Khezu hunts. All right, I'm going to be talking about my entire stream, but let me preface this with a few conditions, because I'm about to barrel into rampage criticism, and I'm not going to be holding back any punches. First of all, this is only my second rampage. I understand the more you play, the more you understand. Third of all, I'm the type of person who kind of plays quickly and doesn't really sit and absorb valid criticism on my part. So maybe I haven't absorbed everything at the pace. Will I get better at rampages? Yes. Will I think better of them eventually? Probably. But right now, as a newcomer experiencing a rampage, there is some major criticisms. Also, last stream of Monster Hunter Rise was one of my worst streams ever in terms of performance. I was sloppy, I was tired, I was so many excuses. Just give me a 7-layer excuse cake. And I thought it was because I was just out of it, my mind wasn't there. But when I looked back and I was compiling some notes to be like, maybe there was something about this rampage. I looked at it. I paused the screen. I looked at it. I was like, nope, my criticism is still valid. And we're going to talk about the interface, because this thing is absolute garbage. Okay, so I did the first rampage, which is the tutorial, where I took my time and I read everything and I understood, okay, you build the installations. All right, you got these different ammos. All right, these are the type of monsters. All right, then there's a big monster you have to kill. Oh, they're ringing the bell. You have to go. That's fine. I was like, this is a lot to take in, but I assume it's going to flow better eventually. So I completed low rank, and I got the emergency quest to do the rampage that introduces you to Apex monsters. And I think everyone recommended, I didn't really enjoy the first time I did rampage, so everyone said, why don't you bring the mods and have a multiplayer rampage? Rampage is way more fun in multiplayer. I was like, that seems to be the case. Like, it's a big base, you have to defend it. It's probably more fun with people. So I invited the mods to help me with this rampage. I got in. The first mistake was I forgot to eat. So right away I got launched and I was like, oh no, I forgot to eat. Where do I eat? So I'm in this base that I'm completely unfamiliar with. There's a timer counting down, so I'm already stressed. I'm trying to find where the food is. I'm running around trying not to like enter the wrong area to trigger the start of the rampage. After chat yells at me after going to 3 doors, I learn it's behind the doors that are closed. That's where the kitchen is. That's where the food is. Then I finally make it out of there, get out onto the field, and probably the worst 20 to 30 minute game stream experience of my life. So I made an off comment that this interface is cluttered and there's a lot of garbage on it. And I was like, there's like 20 things calling for your attention on this. I actually counted the screen, and there are close to 30 items on the interface during a rampage, including the timer, status of the rampage itself, wire bug measures, your name, your health. Like, why do you need your name? Why do you need your name on the screen? That is not important. First thing to go, get rid of your name. Stamina, your sharpness, your power up of your sword. So that's specific to your weapon. Your another timer. What was this timer for? See, my notes don't even make sense. There was 2 timers on here at one point. I don't remember what the second timer is. I think one is, there's a timer at the bottom in Rampage, and then there's a timer in the middle of the screen for like the next major update. Teammates, the effects of your teammates, because half battle you might be looking at your team. Okay, maybe the better players actually do look at the teammate status and like, oh, this one's poison, I should use an antidote, or oh, this one's health's down or something. Anyways, bonus missions that show up on the left, base level as you level up your base, a map, your installation HP as you're looking. This isn't on the interface itself, but as you're looking out onto the rampage, there's HP meters above all the installations that you have to keep, that you have to watch. Team updates coming in from the right, where it's like, oh, this teammate has entered the chat or whatever. Mission updates where it's telling you like, all right, this thing's ready. This, like, there's all the updates on the right. Base updates, story updates where like someone's going to be talking to you for advancing the story. Your item, a second item wheel. Installation commands when you get close to installations. This is just madness. And I come from games that require your attention. Like, I consider a Warriors game to be like Hyrule Warriors. There's a lot of things calling for your attention. There's like a horn going off every 2 seconds. There's like 3 things going on, and you have to keep, you have to pay attention to kind of the flow of battle, which bases are falling, where the enemies are coming from, where your allies are, and you have to keep track of your health and all this stuff. And I love that. And there's this really good YouTube channel that I watch called The Design Doc. He tore apart Hyrule Warriors. I was like, you know what? The criticism is fair. I still enjoy Hyrule Warriors. I hope, Design Doc, you're watching this video, please take Monster Hunter Rise, specifically the Rampage, design doc that stuff, and let me know what you think. I would love to know if Design Doc would destroy this UI or if you would praise it, because I do not see anything. And then, okay, so you've processed the UI, let's say. Then you actually have the battle itself with several monsters coming in, with your teammates doing things, with your installations, you're running everywhere. And if you got mods like me, they're trying to nuke you half the time. And then if you have longsword users, I don't think I did, but they'll trip you and do stuff. And there's just so much stuff calling your attention. I just have to say, it was not fun. It was not fun. I did not enjoy it. At one point, an Apex Monster game, it was my first one, and I don't even think I could enjoy it because I was so just morally like destroyed from that entire bout of just running around, pretending I knew what I was doing, swapping things. And people are going to say valid criticism of me, how I play, but the fact that the way I play does not let me enjoy something in a franchise that I have learned to enjoy, I think that's a problem worth discussing. So, oh man, I don't like it. It's not even to the point where I want to go back into a Rampage to learn it, because there's so many things. And like, I think too, if you look at an advanced player play, for example, World of Warcraft, I am not an advanced player, but I've seen an advanced player. Their UI is cluttered. Like, there are so many things on World of Warcraft. But the thing is, when you start that game, your UI is very simple. You have like a few spells at the bottom, you have your health, you have your mana. And as you progress, they're like, here's a new skill to watch. Here's a new skill to add. Oh, you want to have 2 like layers of skills. You can customize that. And then the advanced players, they get all these widgets and add-ons that like just fill the screen with stuff. And then they optimize. I feel the Rampage and Monster Hunter Rise, the default is you're an advanced player. Here's the UI and everything you need to know. It's like, whew, build me up, game. Like, wine and dine me first. Don't just take me all the way home. So yeah. That is my base criticism. So let's get that. That was the worst part. The rest is all going to be good. Let's talk about the end of Village Quest. Now, I really wanted to check mark all the last Village quests before I actually went into proper high rank. I think there are 2 quests left at 6-star. I've unlocked high rank now, so I've got my hunter rank unlocked finally. And like I said earlier, it was not a good stream just because I don't know why I keep struggling so much in Rise. Like in World, I do a mission and I'm warmed up. In this one, it just felt like I was struggling a lot, and I'm still in low rank, which is like, what's going on? The first fight, my warm-up fight, was with another Somnicant, and I was getting all the status ailments, just like collect them all. I was always asleep, I was always shocked, or I was always blind, or flash, whatever it is. So stunned. That was a sloppy fight. Do not watch it. It is terrible and embarrassing. It got better afterwards, though. The next one, I actually fought someone new, which was Narwha, who was... I enjoyed playing him in World, and I enjoy playing him in Rise. I love that he's always on the ground. You know, he's not flying. He's not too crazy. What really surprised me fighting him here is the fact that he seemed to have harder skin than my experience in World. My axe was just going bouncy bounce all over this thing, just like ding, ding, ding. Like, it just felt like we were cheering glasses off of this guy's skin constantly. And I was switching a sword because I know axe bounces. And even the sword hits were not like really satisfying. And I was like, oh, I wish I could soften him up. You know, my world instincts were kicking in of, oh, I want to soften him up. So I learned that his face was really weak, and I just kind of got aggressive around his face. And he's easy to read and just a good time. So once I started smacking him around in the face, it was pretty easy to take him down. Before I go further, I forgot to say, I want to comment about the switch axes, because I'm spending more time like looking at the different options of switch axe I can use. First thing I just want to say, switch axes, some of them really look like keyblades from Kingdom Hearts, which is a really strange thing, especially the one I have now, which is like a wheel. It looks exactly like the Pirates of the Caribbean keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. So the switch axe, what the good thing here is, I think this is an improvement in Rise. The way that they present you the different like trees, even though it's the same one, I feel it's a lot less overwhelming than in World. In World, I'm still like haven't even processed all the axes that are available to me. Whereas in Rise, I feel like I've gone through them and I'm like, oh, okay. And it's also the fact that I probably understand the game mechanics to the point where I can be like, aha, this sharpness, lots of green, sign me up. Attack, all right. Oh, it has the paralysis effect. All right. Like, I understand the key things. Like, that menu has a lot of things to look at, which in World when I was starting, I didn't understand and know. Now I actually know. So I'm like, okay, this axe better than this one. I don't care what it looks like, sign me up. So I'm enjoying just being able to shop around for an axe. We're going to get to grinding soon, where I'm going to grind the axe that I want. So we started off with that wheel, and then I actually ended the stream with, what do you call it? The, Magna Malo switch axe. So I've got a really cool switch axe now that I'm quite happy with. Other things I tried, I also struggle a lot with riding for some reason this week. I know that when you are riding your target monster, you should be able to wallbang him 3 times. And I kept falling off of it for some reason. Like, I would bang it and then like try to push B to reposition and bang again. And for some reason it didn't work. Finally, when I got to Diablos, as we will get to in a moment, I got it to 3 times. So I think it was just a matter of me remembering the mechanics or something. So back to the fights. A lot of these 5 and 6 star village quests were a lot of dual monsters. So the next one was a Kulu and an Anja fight. 2 of my favorites. This one was a lot easier. I think I've picked up on the Anjanath pattern. Kulu is, I mean, I got Kulu in the bag. I can pound that bird all day. Anjanath was fun. Again, I was playing way more aggressive with him, to the point where I was actually smacking him in the face and interrupting his attacks. Best feeling ever. I just love doing that to him. After that, I was not expecting to have to fight Khezu again, but we fought Khezu and Somna. Pleasantly surprised, Khezu was a lot easier this time. My axe actually cut through him, and I was like, why is he easier? And I remembered the first time I took on Khezu was with a charge blade, and I really didn't know how to play the charge blade yet. So now going up against Khezu with a weapon I know, oh, that Slytherin leech he got chopped up good. I broke his face, I broke his body. We just cracked him in 2 and got rid of him. Somna was a lot easier the second time as well on that. And then we got a Tetra and Voltitron duo. Again, if I had to pick my favorite monster in Monster Hunter Rise so far, it's Tetranodon. Love my chunky boy. I love him. He's just so adorable. I love his moveset. It was also my first feint in Rise, so special memory there. And just every time I see him, he's always a good time. So Tetranodon, Valdidon, nothing really significant there other than all the monsters, the more I fight them, just the easier they get, which is a good sign. It means I'm learning. Then we took our special assignment tests, where we had to take on Rathalos, Zinogre, and Almudron. Rathalos was easier the second time around. I think I finally like picked up how to fight him in Rise. Zinogre, still hard. I fought Zinogre twice. I fought him in this quest and I fought him in another one later with Magnamalo. Both times this thing carded me twice. I'm trying different strategies and he just keeps noping me. Every time I fight him, I faint twice. So I think it's time to replace Nemesis, Diablos at this point. I'm killing pretty easily. Despite him being my first wall, proper wall, Zinogre, I think, is the new wall because I cannot fight this thing comfortably and just wipe the floor with it. It's now 3 encounters, and this thing has added 6 feints to my feint counter, which is only at like 12. That's half my feints is because of this electrifying puppy. Otherwise, Almudron was a lot easier and Rathalos was a lot easier. So I'm learning those two. Then we got our boy Diablos. Was really surprised he was not digging more in this one, but he was definitely moving faster than I was expecting. But after my whole Black Diablos encounter in World last week, fighting a village or a low-ranked Diablos in this game, even if it is a little souped up and sped up, doesn't compare to a Diablos in Heat. That thing wants to skewer you. After that, I went to a Tigrex. Again, low-ranked Tigrex, far less scary. Still quite aggressive, but I was also being aggressive with it, which I don't know if that was the best thing to do because I was getting slapped around quite a bit. But it's kind of learning the whole new moveset. And all of these, it's the more I'm playing it, the better I'm going to get. So low rank is my skills. I think have risen or rise is what I'm trying to get to the level that low rank demands. And I feel it's about time. And now we're about to go into high rank, and I'm going to get destroyed there. And then finally, the last thing I tried was someone gave me a tip to try to change the camera to a lock-on camera. I did it with Diablos, and I can see it working for some people. I like having the control of my camera just because I can angle my attack and I can plan out what I want to see. The trade-off is when I do that, if I'm too slow on adjusting my camera, sometimes the monster will be off camera and I will miss it and it will kill me. It's happened before, but that's the trade-off. I'd rather have control at this point. So slowly still trying, new options, new settings. But now, now it's going to be the very uncomfortable part because now we're getting into high rank. I'm probably going to clear out low rank either off stream or on a weekend or something. But next week we're going to the big leagues and we're going to start climbing up that hunter rank and facing off against some new challenges. So expect a lot of crying and complaining from me in future journals. I'll see you on those ones, and until then, keep it classy. My Palico, Classy Jr. is already proving himself more useful than his predecessor by preemptively knocking me out of the way instead of healing me afterwards. Pidgey hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Journal, Monster Hunter Rise Journal, where I document my entire playthrough of Monster Hunter Rise as I seek to hunt every monster. If you want to see the whole thing, I'm going to drop a link in the comments if you want to watch the entire playthrough. It's available on Twitch, but also on YouTube. If you're into that, I release a journal about once a week, and I stream every Tuesday at 8 p.m. over on Twitch if you want to follow along. So this week we have started high rank, and I have to say, what a difference it's been from the early days of these Monster Hunter Rise journals where I'm like, this is so easy, hack slash, to the end of village village rank, where I was getting into double digits feints. So naturally, as I enter high rank, I'm going to be a little bit concerned, and concerned I should be. I got 5 feints this week, and we're still only in 4-star. Like, I'm at the beginning of high rank. So there was no new monsters this week, but I took more time to really take in different aspects of the game. And Monster Hunter Rise has been kind of a rush so far that I haven't really sat and let the game soak in the way, like Monster Hunter World, I did some menu streams where I spent 3 hours just looking at menus and taking my time to let it sink in. And with these massive franchises, I feel a player needs to do that. So entering high rank, the first thing that happened is I got a new switch skill. So took that skill to the training room and I played around with the different mechanics for my switch axe. Now, so far I've been liking the combo that I've been using, which is I think the Invincible Gambit. So I've been trying the Wyvern thing, Wyvern Rise or whatever it's called, and it just wasn't working for me. But with this new switch skill, it has the forward overhead slash, which lets you open up with like a really meaty, like charged up axe slash over the head, which is great because that plays to my old playstyle. I say old because I've just started switching to opening up with a sword slash in both World and Rise. So to do it with to go back to axe, I'm just like, oh no, this switch skill came too late. So I'm balancing the two. I'm still opening up with a sword slash, and then when I have an opening with the monster, what I do is I come out with the forward overhead slash, and what I love is this cycles into my backslash. So like I hit forward Y or top button, no. Oh man, this is the switch. I don't remember what maybe it's an X. They switch them around. I'm thinking of an Xbox controller. Anyway, the top button to slash them, and then the side button, A, I think, to back. And you can just go back and forth, and do that as much as you want until the monster moves. So I love that. While I was in training, I also tried something I had heard in the comments where if you use the Wyvern Rising attack, whatever it's called, after a zero-sum discharge, so you'll zero-sum discharge, you'll fly off of it, and then you can like sling back using that Wyvern Rise move, which was not as cool as I was hoping for. Like it just kind of sucks you back in and you put like a bomb on the monster. I'm going to skip that for now. It just doesn't flow the way I like to flow. So I'm sticking with my Invincible Gambit where I do like 3 damage, try to create an opening for my overhead slash, back into my backswing, or if there's no room to go into a backswing, I'll follow up with 2 sword slashes. And it's a pretty good rhythm so far. Another feature, like this is just me taking the game in, the Argosy, which I've been ignoring this whole time. I finally spoke to the person there and learned how everyone's been saying it's the farm. I get it now. It's exactly that. It's the farm. You negotiate to get what item you want. So we got the honey on the Argosy and we got some flash bugs so we can get our bombs and mega potions. And I'm now sort of invested in the Argosy, and I'm actually going to pay attention to it. So that's another mechanic I have given attention to. I played through the rest of, I had a few quests left in village rank. I finished everything except my final village quest list has a blue check mark instead of a red, which I suspect means I have not unlocked a certain village quest, and I'm really curious to know, how do we unlock that quest? Because I cannot have full 100% completion until I get that blue check mark into a red check mark. I also started noticing NPCs off to the side that never give you quests or anything. They're just there. I was like, oh, did the market expand with high rank? And everyone's like, no, they've been there all the time. So we got the rice ball artist kid next to like another stall with a massive fish. Never noticed those things. Never needed to go there. They're all completely optional to talk to. But I spoke to the kid and I learned he has a crush on the other Bunny Dango girl. And then I learned the cat's been spying on the two, and they've got a crush because I inspired them. I'm like, okay, I'm getting into the lore of this world, which I'm appreciating. It's getting me more invested. So if anyone is rushing through this game, take the time, talk to people, let the game pull you into its world. The other thing that was cool in a high rank is I uncovered my first kind of gimmicky switch axe. I say gimmicky because it looks like it's made of paper. It's an origami switch axe. And I actually got it at a time when I saw another player somewhere on the internet, I don't know what their name is, but they actually crafted 1,000 origami switch axe to make a wish. So they say it's based off of the legend of the paper crane origami. If you do 1,000, you can do a wish. So like a lot of people, they fold 1,000 origami cranes, make a wish. This guy or girl, I don't know who it is, they crafted 1,000 switch axes and made a wish. And I forgot what they wished for, but very cool. I'm never going to do that. The origami switch axe, love it. It's beautiful. What I don't like about it is I don't know in battle. I can't identify quickly if I'm in sword mode or axe mode. The two modes look too similar. So when I'm fighting with it, I'm struggling a lot of the times to try, like, am I in axe mode or am I in sword mode, which really affects which button I want to press next. So that kind of threw me off. Not to the point where it caused me to faint, but enough where it caused me to not have as smooth of a combat as I wanted to. So going into my high rank fights, the first one, I don't know, I must have been in typical Hey J cringe. I went into a fight to kill a Lagombi and a Khezu. First thing I see is an Aknosom, and I just started wailing on it like crazy. And after about 20 minutes of like fighting this thing and feigning to it twice, which is weird because Aknosom's supposed to be easy, chat's like, why are you fighting this thing? It's not on your target list. I was like, oh my God, that's so dumb. So I completely wasted 20 minutes, 2 feints on a bird I didn't even have to hunt. And then we ran and we fought the Khezu and the Lagambi. Lagambi? Yes, Lagambi. Aknosam, I don't know what's up, but he was my rival for this day because this thing never gave me an issue in village rank. Suddenly in high rank, it's an issue. There's even a point where I was zero-sum discharging, like, this sounds terrible, but in its mouth. And then I just fainted. Like, my entire life went out. And apparently it was when it's doing its, like, fireball attack. So, you know, it was shooting fireballs. I was shooting my axe. And I guess he overpowered me because he, like, KO Ken times 20 or something. And then I died. So, all the monsters, like I said, none of them were new. But this was different than my experience in World High Rank. In the sense that I think I am observing monsters more now in Rise, now that I've kind of gone to the comfortable level of playing this game, where I was actually noticing the new moves. In World, I went through the monsters in low rank maybe too quickly, or maybe I was absorbing too many things. I didn't actually notice what most of the new moves were in high rank compared to low rank. Here, it was a lot more noticeable where I'm like, this monster didn't do that. That monster didn't do that. And I think it just comes down to I hunted them more in low rank to be like, understand their patterns. So like for example, the big bunny, he rolls a massive snowball now, which I don't remember him doing that in village rank. Khezu charges, but also lunges at you, which he never did that before. So luckily it didn't hit me. He almost did once. Like I said, Classy knocked me out of the way before it happened. I also learned I can control Classy and say, come help me by pushing like plus minus. So that was a lifesaver. And I also learned that attack from Khezu is to teach the player, don't stand in front of that thing. You want to be off to the side so that way if it lunges, you can always just slap on the side of that face. So I no longer stand in front of Khezu specifically because of that attack. Tetranodon, he has like a Blastoise water gun attack, which I wasn't expecting that. He also ate me 3 times, which I don't think he did that in low rank. So just really observing new behavior, which I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like this really felt like I was absorbing the game in a new way this week. Arzuros, we fought him. And Trolly Chat is Troll, so they told me to bring a bunch of honey with me, and I thought it was so that I'd have enough for my Mega Push. I'm like, I don't really need honey. They're like, no, keep it in your inventory, it's always good. So I go, I fight Arzuros, and I don't know if this unlocks like a new attack because you have honey in your pocket, but he mauled me a few times, took my honey, and ran off to eat his honey in his honey pot. I was like so offended, so I hit him, but he stole my honey twice. And of course, chat had a good time laughing at my expense as usual. So not sure if you're supposed to not bring honey with you, like if you'll still do that attack even if you have no honey in your pocket. But either way, Arzuros is a hungry bear. You be careful. So made it through pretty much 4-star rank. The next week, I'm entering 5-star. My emergency quest is a Gyrototis, which I was like, why did they bring the fish back? Nobody likes this fish, and yet they brought him back. And for an emergency request of all things. So this is my first level of high rank and slapped around quite a bit. So I imagine I'm only going to get slapped around more and more, but I'm also absorbing the game more where I'm studying and learning. Another thing I do is when I get knocked out, I used to wire bug into the monster. Now I wire bug away from the monster because they're way more aggressive. They have more combos in high rank. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with this. If they slap me once, they'll slap me again. So let's wire bug away, watch what's happening, and then create an opening. It's a very different style of play from what I was doing in World, I feel. And I have to learn, and I'm learning. I can feel myself learning, so we're getting there. So next week, Gyrototis, and who knows what else is behind that Gyrototis, but it's going to only get harder from this point. But as I'm getting more comfortable with the controls and the playstyle, even though it feels like it's the same game as World, but there is a clear distinction when I start Rise after playing World. I'm always struggling on my first hunter quest, on my first hunt. So I can't tell you what it is that's different between these games, you know, outside the wire bug and all these other things. But there is something that throws me off, and I need like a hunt or two to recalibrate to Rise. So that's where we are. Hopefully you can join me next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/HeyJOfficial. If not, I'll see you in the next journal. And until then, keep it classy. Hunters, we've entered a new era. The era of the Strawberry Samurai. Heiji hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Journal where I strive to hunt every monster in Monster Hunter Rise. Now, if you watch my Monster Hunter World Journals, you'll notice that as the journals progress, my hair turned into my actual hunter's hairstyle. So since I'm in the end game there, I figured, you know what? Now we're in Monster Hunter Rise, time to go match my Monster Hunter Rise hunter look. So we're working on it. All right. I didn't do a journal last week because honestly, I'm at a point where when I put in 3 hours every week in Rise for early high rank, there's not much new. In the last 2 weeks, I've only encountered 2 new monsters in Rise, one of which I had to fight. So there wasn't really much to talk about, which is also a first. And I'm not sure if that is a testament to Rise maybe not having as much exciting moments, or if it's more about me just knowing and understanding the franchise, because this has never happened when I went through World. So the first big thing is I started going back to a little bit of fashion design. We got layered armors and I can do like some pigmentation stuff. So I messed around to match with my origami axe and I became the beautiful strawberry samurai in full pink, because we all know strawberry snacks are the best snacks. I'm not going to focus so much on the monsters because, like I said, all of them I had fought before. Starting in high rank, I made it all the way to, over the last 2 weeks, to high rank 6-star, and nothing really new yet. The one that really stood out was Juratotis, which was a new high rank monster. I was dreading it a little bit because I hated Juratotis in Monster Hunter World. Huge different fight in this game. He's fun to fight, and he's got legs. Like, you actually see those legs. He's not always in the water. You're not always like trudging through mud. It felt, I don't remember trudging through mud. If it was there, it did not leave that impact on me. He was just a fun fish to fight. I was like doing the dance, and I never enjoyed fighting the fish in World. I think I made a whole journal on why I didn't like the fish, but now I like the fish. He was a fun fight, so I was pleasantly surprised. 2 streams ago, I actually spent about 30 minutes with Gaijin Hunter. He came into the stream and he had just put out a Switch Axe tutorial video, which you could probably reference on Gaijin Hunter's channel. And when, because he was there, I was like, all right, let's pull up the tutorial. Let's go to the training room. We got Gaijin in the chat. And I really went through all the mechanics of the Switch Axe and learned how to be a little bit more optimal with my Switch Axe. So what I learned first is the whole charging the gauge, which I was not doing very well. So I learned to focus on getting into amp state, I think it's called, when my Switch Axe gets all shiny. And so now I can do that. And I've learned what is my most efficient combo, which is AA, ZR, AAA. 2 A's, 2 ZRs, 2 A's, something like that. And it does crazy amounts of damage. So I actually saw what that does. So I'm a little bit more proficient with my Switch Axe. And that's a matter of practicing and getting better just through doing it. So that was a fun segment. We met Rajang in Rise the same week I met Rajang. Well, I didn't so much meet him in World that week. I more got clapped by him. So finding him asleep in this game, I'm just like, oh, you stupid monkey. And I woke him up with some bomb barrels, and then I ran away, and that monkey chases you. So do not mess with the monkey in this game either. He chases you. He even sniped me at one point. I thought I had gone away, and I'm just harvesting in the corner, and then from around the cliff, I just see monkey pop out, electric ball, and I get zapped. I'm just like, oh, stupid monkey. Later on, I went on and fought an Anjanath. And I had an aha moment where I'm like, oh my God, I can ride the monkey. I can make the monkey my, what's the word we use on this channel? My pet. I made the monkey my pet, and I rode him, and I started punching Anjanath with the monkey, and I was doing the electrical. Another thing I learned with wyvern riding, I was always using, I believe it's X and A to use my attacks. I learned if you pull back an A, you unlock an even cooler attack on all animals, or all monsters, not animals. So now I'm experimenting with everything I've rode before. I want to ride them again just to see what that back A attack is, because I didn't know about it. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. Jewels, I've actually taken the time. I was like, because in Monster Hunter World, I'm in the end game now. I'm playing with decorations. I'm all okay, we got to do some switching of the skills. We need these skills. Oh, I don't have enough of these decorations. We need more. And Jewels is the same system. And I'm just like, oh, we're getting in on this early this time. So I barely have any jewels to choose from, but I'm so excited because I'm like, I know this mechanic. I know this system. We got to get some jewels. We got to slot some jewels. We got to grind the jewels. I've also finally put the farm to use. So I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I need some honey. I'm always running out of mega potions. So we got the Argosy going. We got a submarine in there. And I was already like, oh my God, I'm not getting items fast enough. So I went out of my way to unlock another submarine. So we're at 2 submarines. And I'm going to need a 3rd one very soon. So using the farm, like I actually felt the need for the farm. And it took me until higher rank. A lot of people were like, use your farm, use your farm. I like using things when I need them. So we have finally crossed that bridge. I've also grinded out a new switch axe because the origami axe, as beautiful as it is, I never knew if I was in sword mode or axe mode. Like, it was a roll of the dice, like 50-50. I'm like, am I in sword mode? Let's try this tech. Nope, that's an axe tech. So it was really messing with my pattern. So I've grinded out a new switch axe. It's like the ore one or something. I grinded out a few of them because I was dumb and like forged 2 axes or something. So now I have one that's like, oh, it morphs, it looks like an axe. It morphs, it looks like a sword. And now I know what I'm doing, and I have a lot more clarity when I'm fighting everything. And the last week, the monsters were super fun. We fought like the emergency quest Mizu. Mizu was fun. Everything was fun. Almudron, I'm going back fighting Almudron. Fun. Everything is falling. Everything is like clicking, especially after like the pounding I'm taking in World. Rise is like my safe place now. And it's kind of weird because I was dying a lot in Village, in like the later Village quests. But I think I think it clicked or something, because now I've done 3 ranks of high rank. And I think across all of it, I have maybe 1 or 2 faints. So I'm not fainting as much in high rank as much as I would have thought. I've also upgraded my armor because I was getting kind of squishy. I was like, okay, these things are hitting harder than it seems. So bulked up my armor, bulked up with my jewels, and now like it's evening out. I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable. I'm back in the fun zone. You know, Monster Hunter has 3 zones. You have the noob zone where you're like, everything's confusing. What am I doing? Then you have the fun zone where you know enough about what you're doing. You're able to pull it off and it's all just connecting. And then you have the piss me off zone. And that's where I am in World, where everything's angry. Everything's pissed off. Everything wants to piss you off. Everyone's pissing on everyone else's off. It's just hell of piss off. So you want to be in the middle section. The other stuff, what else? Oh, I learned about material tables. So now I was getting selective and like, okay, I want to build this. Therefore, I need materials. What are the materials that I need? And so I learned that in my hunter's notes, there's the whole material table. It's like, oh, if you want to have this, you have to you have more chance if you capture. Or, oh, this is if you wall bang. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I have my whole matrix of how to get and farm things I want. Love it. Also got to try real dangos, which was very cool. So I had someone at home make me some dangos on stream. I surprised everyone. I was like singing the song and making some dangos, and I'm just like, Pwasha, I got some dangos. So I got to finally taste what dangos taste like, and it was the most disappointing thing I've ever tasted in my life. So mochi, whatever these things are, it basically tastes like a ball of rice, dissolved rice that got extremely sticky, but it has no flavor. It's not sweet, it's not salty. It's super bland. And there was like a sweet soya glaze sauce. If sweet soya sauce sounds weird to you, it's because that's as weird as it sounds to me. Like soya sauce is salty. I don't know how it's supposed to be sweet. So when I put that on my dango, I'm just like, what is going on? I think it's an acquired taste. So if you've never had a dango, just be warned. And also we learned, do not wash down dangos with Gatorade. It's like orange juice and toothpaste. It's nasty. I don't know what happened. I'm pretty sure I had a chemical reaction, but it was disgusting. Don't do it. Outside of jewels, I learned about talismans now, and this is relevant too because in World I'm actually starting to craft and upgrade my, what do you call it, the equivalent to a talisman in World. So now that I'm here in Rise, I'm like, oh, you can just randomly craft these, as many as you want, and they drop random skills and you can optimize these. I'm like, oh my god, this changes the skill game, makes it so much more exciting. So now I'm in the talisman lottery game, because it's a lottery. You're not actually crafting the thing you want, you're just hoping for the best, which is a very strange system. I've also learned about the motley mix at the Dango station. So I learned that you can actually order a box of dumplings, or we don't know what's in the box. I assume it's dumplings. It's called the motley mix. And if you order it, you get a Dango ticket, which I don't know what that is, but I had no idea that was even a feature 30 plus hours in. So if you did not know that you can eat things besides Dangos, you can. Outside of that, really, I just had a lot of fun this past week fighting monsters I knew. Zinogre. It was very interesting. So if you remember, Zinogre has been my bane in Rise. And I met him in World, and I had a blast with him in World. And now to come back to him in high rank, I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? I struggled with him more in Rise than in World, considering in World I met him at Master rank, and I had no problem the first time fighting him. Here, I was definitely more comfortable with him compared to like when I was fighting him in Village, but he was still more difficult to deal with than in World, I found. He just felt a little faster, more aggressive, but I finally gotten to the point where I think I'm comfortable fighting Zinogre, and it's not when he's charged up, he still scares me in Rise. When he's charged up in World, I'm like, all right, now it's time to play with the puppy. He's soft everywhere. We can just pound him while he's electrified. In Rise, I'm still just terrified because he can knock me out so quick. And then finally, we ended the stream on a high rank Rathalos. Everybody was betting against me. This was my moment of pride. I'm not getting too many of them anymore with the beatdown I get in World. I went in, and I forget what the bet was, if there would be a feint or not. But I'm pretty sure I did not feint once to Rathalos high rank. And it was such a fun fight. Like, it wasn't like an overwhelming victory for me. Like, I think I almost went very close to dying once. And it was just like everybody was kind of rooting against me, which it happens from time to time. When they see that I'm cocky, they root against me. And when they say I'm the underdog, they root for me. It's normal stuff. But anyways, I used like every skill I had. I was riding beasts. I was doing everything I could to like take down this Rathalos. And I finally did. I was like being really cautious of like, okay, I gotta dodge, gotta use all these new things that Gaijin taught me. And it just all came together and we slayed it. I was like, yeah. And that's how we like ended the night. So just in a very fun, comfortable spot, but I'm really like, for the sake of these journals, I hope that I'm going to encounter like more new stuff, because right now these journals have all been about like discovery, and I feel Rise is getting a little bit lean on the discovery thing, but who knows? I saw all the updates, update 2.0, 3.0 stuff that is waiting for me in Endgame, and like all that stuff looks new. So I'm like, okay, I can't wait till I can like jump in that, but we got to get through the high rank grind, which to be fair is like adjusting me. Like my gear is getting comfortable, my skills getting comfortable, all of the monster selections like the high rank, I'm fitting into the high rank section of the game very comfortably. So that's where I'm at now with Rise. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to be getting 7-star next week. We're just about there. I have to do another Rampage, which, oh boy. I did say I would do a few low-level Rampages just to like get the mechanics again. Give it another shot, basically. Maybe I'll like it. It's happened before. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next journal or on the Monster Hunter Rise stream. And until next time, keep it classy. Rajang, my boy, what have they done to you? Why are you so weak? Khezu hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter journal, looking at my whole journey of Monster Hunter Rise. And now we have ascended to high rank 7-star. I've got Rampages behind me. I've got Rajang behind me. And I've got another little spider creepy thing. So let's start with Rajang, and then we're going to go Rampage. One of my mortal enemies, Rajang, finally his time has come in Rise. And boy, was I not looking forward to it. This monkey has given me nightmares in World, has just destroyed my confidence in so many ways, and has been the bane of my existence until I slapped that monkey in World. But now, I have to fight him again. In Rise, I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? I have to fight this thing. He's going to be so hard. And I'm like pulling out my Switch. I was like, all right, here we go. It's monkey time. And he's like, punch, punch. And I was like, dodge, smack, smack, dodge, smack, smack. He's just like, punch, punch, clap. I was like, who slowed down the monkey? This is not the Rajang I know and fear. This is like old man Rajang who's just given up on life. And of course, fast forward, I don't know, 10 minutes, and this monkey died. Like, he posed 0 challenge. Now, that might be a good thing because he was just ridiculous in World. And to be fair, I mean, I've been training against steroid version Rajang for a few weeks now. So to bring him into Rise when he is slower, I am faster, and I have wire bugs. Like just like we went circles around this monkey, and he was really nothing. He was, dare I say, kind of fun even. So the Rajang is dead in Rise. Maybe it's going to be harder if they pull out a master rank or something. Next up, Rampage. If you've checked a journal I dropped a while back, I was pretty harsh on Rampage, and my criticism to this day is fairly valid, which was the interface is pretty crowded. Now I've learned that you can customize and turn off a lot of things, but the next part, my next emergency quest, was a Rampage, looking at the Wind Serpent Ibushi, which to my understanding is like an endgame boss. So I was like, I don't want to go into a Rampage with all of this negative energy of like, I already said I don't like Rampages, and I've only done like 2 or 3, and I'm like, to go into an emergency request, this is the last one, I should really do a few Rampages and just try to make it click. Like you guys have all been around the channel to know that I just need a little bit of time and guidance sometimes to get something to click. So I went into a low rank Rampage, and I had no idea that there were different maps. So I got tossed in, I think it was this one. Yeah, I got tossed in and the map was different. So I was alone, and I'm like, I don't know where anything is. And the countdown started. I was like, oh my God, I don't know where anything is. So I was completely lost. It's the map where you start in the middle. So I didn't even know where the monsters were going to come from. And people are like, it's where the yellow arrows are. I did a 360. I couldn't see the yellow arrows. This map specifically, you have to run like beyond an installation or a wall to see where the monsters come from. So that threw me off and sent me into a panic. That whole fight was a mess where I didn't know what I was doing. And honestly, probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I'm the type of person, you throw me in the fire and I'll figure it out. It was probably the worst Rampage anyone has ever seen in their life. I didn't know what I was doing. And people were like, why aren't you listening to like advice and stuff? It's because I was figuring it out. I figure things out by making mistakes. So I did so many mistakes. I used the wrong weapons here and there, and I just did everything wrong. But I learned, I'm like, oh, the more installation, like I have a limit in how many installations I put. The numbers at the bottom, I see that now. Okay, the more things I kill, the more I can like access new weapons. Up to this point, I had only played with like the crossbow weapon, but now I'm like, oh, there's a cannon. Let's try the cannon. What does that do? Even if I was using it in the wrong context. Oh, there's a machine gun. This is so cool. What does this do? Oh, there's a laser. I remember seeing the laser in my multiplayer stream, so I kind of knew how to use that. I was like, let me try to use it. And I knew how to aim it, and I was looking at like how it impacted monsters. And I dropped, what's his face? The guy with the big sword. Oh my God. Fugen. And I used them at the wrong time. And I was supposed to save him for the last like Rampage boss. I used him on a weakling, but I'm like, oh, that's what he does. He kills everything fast. He's like a one shot. And I learned about the nuke. I missed the nuke, but so much learning because there was so much failing. And like, let's just pause Hey J Gaming and everything for a moment. It's time for a Hey J life lesson. I just have to say, in all aspects of life, failing is good. Failing is your best teacher. So if you can fail, go for it. It will teach you so much. The best advice I can give to someone is fail fast and you will learn so fast. So unpause. We're back to the Rampage. I am failing faster than a dropout, and I'm learning so much. So low rank done. I'm all right. I'm like, all right, I got through this. I can do this. Let's really put my knowledge to the test. Apex Rathian. Let's go. So I went into a higher rank Rampage with Apex Rathian. And you know what? I went in and it was more of my familiar map, if I recall. And now I kind of knew. I'm like, all right, I know exactly. I'm going to put all my autos here. I'm going to put my base weapon here. They're all going to level up. It wasn't optimized, but at least I knew what I was building, what I was working towards. I also knew to use the nuke. Did I use the nuke on this one? I might have missed the nuke on this one. I think I missed the nuke on this one. I used the nuke on Ibushi. But I now knew to do that. And again, lots of failures, lots of learnings happened in that. I thought I was going to die. I did cart. And then I got to fight the Apex Rathian, and man, he slammed my wall hard. But in the end, defeated, and I was actually starting to click. And honestly, people are saying multiplayer is more fun. Yes, I agree. But I think I needed to play this single player to struggle through it. I needed to go through the path of learning, because now that I know what I'm doing, I can go in multiplayer. When I did multiplayer last time, everybody knew what they were doing. I didn't, so I was just like crossbow, pew 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 pew, and I just stood on the crossbow. I stood on the one thing I knew while everyone else took care of things. Now I had nobody to rely on. It was just me, and man, that's a good incentive to figure stuff out quick. So now I had 2 additional rampages under my belt. I'm like, all right, now let's go do the Ibushi rampage and see what this is about. And I had way more confidence in this one. I had a lot more fun. Ooh, rampage and fun in the same sentence. Well, I don't know if I said in the same sentence, but I did that time. And everything was kind of clicking. And then this freaking Ibushi Serpent comes out, and I'm just like, what is this? This is a disgusting design. I don't like it. I just don't like it. It moves slow. It's in the air. And I have to say, I was very disappointed with this fight, because this to me was a fight that was kind of, it was teased a little bit, and it was also my first fight where they used Proof of a Hero, the music in the fight. After I was fighting it, like it kicked in, and I didn't feel it. I was like, why are you putting this background music? I've got this big floating serpent in the air that is going so slow. I'm not winning. I'm getting slapped around by this slow moving thing. I'm getting tossed in the air constantly. And we got Proof of a Hero, and I'm still stressed about the rampage of like all these timers and things that I have to do. I was like, this is the worst experience for Proof of Hero. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but like, I did not like it. And I did not like meeting this endgame boss in the rampage because, okay, I think, I'm not sure. I think that once that boss shows up, you can fight it just like, I think you're expected to just use your weapon and fight it normally. But I wasn't 100% sure of that. So I still thought I had to manage a little bit of like my weaponry and stuff, which might have been a whole waste of time and energy on my part. So that took away from my experience. They tossed in Proof of a Hero on this big slippy, slidey monster, and I'm just getting flung in the air, and I'm just like, this is not how I wanted to experience my first Proof of Hero. So the whole Ibushi experience was just really mediocre. Like if I had to rank this from like 1 to 10, it'd be a 6 at best. And I'm sorry to say that because I've been having so much fun with this franchise, but that fight was just bleh. So anyways, I do appreciate Rampages more. I don't think they're the best, but I can actually play them and enjoy them now. So Rampages are great. We also got all of my buddies to match the Strawberry Samurai aesthetic. So now I got little Strawberry Kitty, I got Strawberry Poochie, and we are the Strawberry Crew. I guess I could have said we are the Strawberry Bunch, which makes more sense. So yeah, everybody matches now. We all got pink armor. We are pretty cool. And then the last thing that I did was fought Arachna Kadaki, which again, I'm not like terrified of spiders, but I just don't think they're particularly attractive. Like if I had a big spider on me, I would just kind of like flick it away and just be like, oh, that's gross. So fighting this spider, I was not looking forward to it. I had seen it in the trailers. And I was like, oh, it's a spider. And then it made me realize I haven't fought a single bug, like a massive bug in this franchise yet. So everyone's like, don't worry, it's a fun fight. It's a fun fight. I'm like, I don't know. It spits fire and it's a spider. That's two things I don't like right there. So I went into the fight with my guard up of like, this is going to be a terrible fight. This is horrible. Turns out the chat was right. Rachna was a fun fight. Like it was easy to dodge everything. It had really cool mechanics. It like blew up its sack and then you could like smash the sack, which would like give you an opening. It was just really cool to see it move. And it was kind of cool to anticipate things. Like I could see it, like when the sack blows up, you're like, that's a target spot. And then, you know, when you actually deliver the blows on it and it blows up, that's like a reward that's like, you were right. You recognize the weakness of the monster. Congratulations. Here's a sticker. And I'm just like, this is just, it's nice. And the fire, it's like, it's breathing in. I'm like, okay, fire's going to come out. Drop back, avoid the fire, keep slapping it. And it was the dance. The dance was there. And I was like, this was a really good fight. So overall, this past week, very comfortable grind. I don't think there's that many monsters left in 7-star that are new. So I kind of just have to grind out the last few stars so I can get access to the endgame monsters, specifically the DLC that was added in 2.0, 3.0. That's where I'm going to encounter a little bit of new stuff. So next week, I can't guarantee a journal because I think I'm going to be grinding out a lot of the same monsters again. But after that, we're in the end game of Rise and we can start multiplayer and really like grinding out and optimizing this game. So I'll see you on the next stream, potentially Tuesday, potentially as in you might be there. I will be streaming Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/HeyJayOfficial. And otherwise, I'll see you there or on the next journal. And until next time, keep it classy. Welcome back, fellow hunters. Now relax as I tell you the tale of the Strawberry Samurai and how he overcame the Serpent Narwha, the sleeping, tumorous beast. Heiji hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Rise journal where more slaying happened and one new monster was found and also slayed. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrapping up all of this Rise journey very soon. In fact, all of this initial Monster Hunter journey, it feels like we're getting to the conclusive part. So I've made it to the end of Monster Hunter Rise 1.0, and I'm now starting to get into the 2.0 and 3.0 content starting next week. Finally met the Thunder Serpent Narwha, but before we get to the good stuff, I just want to go through the very basics. Everything else was pretty much 7-star quests, so I fought some higher rank Diablos, some Goss Harag. Goss Harag I love. I didn't realize he could like change the ice on his hands into different things. The last time I fought him in Village Rank, he had the 2 dual blades, but now he had like the sword and shield, and he had, I think he had more than that. And then I just loved like hacking away at it, and it just feels so good when you actually kind of know what you're doing with your weapon. I say kind of know. I would say I'm maybe at like 60% of knowing how to use my weapon. There's still a lot of unlocked potential in this boy. But I say that specifically because Magnamalo, just high rank Magnamalo, didn't want anything to do with me. I hate that beast once again. I carded 3 times. It was my first failed quest in Rise, and I didn't even realize it was my first failed quest until it happened. I was like, oh my god, I've actually never failed in this. Like, I've never failed a quest. I've carded twice, but never thrice. And now this Magnamalo just got me into very uncomfortable positions, and I just ended up dying. Take that, editor. You can have now 3 cuts of me dying to that. So yeah, pretty much slayed everyone else. We saw Diablos, we saw the Mudman, and at this point, they're all pretty comfortable to fight except for freaking Magnamalo. Made some new upgrades to my switch axe, so I went from the General Strong Axe to the Conqueress, which I think is the best switch axe I can get where I am right now. So the last week we fought the Wind Serpent of Boredom, and this week there was the Thunder Serpent, and I am pleasantly surprised that this was a far better fight than the Rampage conclusive watch me float in the wind as I scoop you up and toss you up and proof of a hero. First of all, Thunder Serpent Narwha gets I think it's her, because the other one always said my queen. Anyways, Narwha has a freaking epic song. Like, the music, okay, the setup was way better. Like, everyone's like, so long, hero. Village meeting. We're sending off the hero. Hopefully he comes back. If not, I guess we got to find a new hero. And then off you go. You're in an arena. And here we go. We got another serpent. I'm like, oh no, it does thunder. Thunder is one of my weaknesses right next to fire. But I'm like, oh, what is this music? We got like this like really like slow, epic, like on theme music. We got some vocals to it. And now we're like in a big arena where all I have to do is focus on this Narwha. And there's like a big throbbing thing on it that I'm like, that's probably what I have to hit. Oh man. In the beginning, it honestly felt, not in the beginning, the whole fight felt like an action RPG fight more than a Monster Hunter fight. And it was very off-putting because I'm like, all right, I'm going to go slay it. And then it's like, nope, you have to climb all of this dirt and get behind the weaponry and use the weaponry against the serpent. And at first I was like, what? No. But then I was like, you know what? I learned how to use all this weaponry. It's far more engaging than the Zora fight from Monster Hunter World. And I'm like, this actually requires you to like actually know how to wire bug. So that's like check off on good boss mechanic, tests you on the new mechanic of the game, and you use all these new weapons to take it down. And sometimes you can get up close and do a little bit of damage with your melee weapon. Overall, you know, it's not the best representation, I think, of what Monster Hunter can stand for, but I'm glad there is more content after it. I'm glad this fight happened. I think it was far better than the Rampage mess I got last week. The music was great. The monster was fun. I could actually like see its moves and how to avoid it. And if I didn't, it was pretty punishing. At one point, the only part I did cart. I carted once because I found the nuke button. More specifically, chat told me the nuke button is over there. Go push it. I was like, where's the nuke? Go to, and then like I did it, but then the camera wasn't looking at the monster anymore. And I didn't realize that was the moment it was doing its ultimate attack. So I'm like, nuke. And he was like, nuke the hunter. And we both exploded. I exploded more than he did because I carted. So overall, it was a really fun fight. I enjoyed it. And now we've unlocked a hunter rank. And my next goal is to get to Hunter rank 20. So now I am grinding in both Monster Hunter games. I'm trying to get into a certain Master rank in World. I'm trying to get to a certain Hunter rank in 20. I've seen a comment on this channel that tells me like every 20 or so rank a new monster unlocks. So now I'm just like, all right, it's time. It's time to grind the Rise. And I eventually have to go back and punish the Magnamalo for what he did to me. But at this point, it's all those monsters that I've seen, so I got a lot of old friends to look forward to. We got Kushala, we got Teostra, we got some new friends, we got the Jet Engine, we got Apex Rathalos. Now we're talking, like, give me some new stuff to fight. Really excited to get into that. But otherwise, that's all I have for this week. It's a fairly short journal. There was really nothing else. It was kind of just a nice stroll around the block, hitting some old friends. So I'll see you all on the next journal, and until next time, keep it classy. Now look, I know I'm not the best Monster Hunter player. I'm not the best gamer in the world. I'm a pretty average, I consider myself an average guy. But the bar of how much you can suck at Rampage has just been lowered. Like we've just created a basement and just for this bar about how low it needs to go. Khezu hunts. So welcome back, hunters, to another Monster Hunter Journal Rise edition, where I am wrapping up the end of Monster Hunter Rise. So I finished 1.0 in the last journal. Now I've completed 2.0, so that includes all of the new Elder Dragons that were included. And now all we have left ahead of us is 3.0. So let me recap the last two streams, the progress I've made, the monsters I've hunted, everything else as I've been playing this journey. If you are just joining us for the first time, there's a lot of videos to catch up on, as I have been introduced to the Monster Hunter franchise for the first time in my life since January of this year. I've been playing World and Rise and documenting my journey through both games. Now here we are in Rise, slaying some Elder Dragons. Let's get started with the important stuff. There was this one little quest missing in my village quest that was holding back the red check mark from my entire list. Well, I have found that quest, I have completed it, and now my entire village checklist all has red check marks. 100%. I feel like a certified hunter. I've passed the test with an A+ 100% grade. I can now quit this thing and go home happy. Now, I'm just kidding, of course. We've got a lot more to do in proper high rank with the guild hub. So I did my first multiplayer session and we unlocked a few things. I did the Apex Mizutsune Rampage so that we unlocked that. So when I hit Hunter rank 45, I can finally fight Apex Mizutsune. I finally unlocked the third farm, so now I have a full crew of submariners all out there gathering honey and other items for me. Also, that was a fun little sidetrack where I had to find like the pieces for the third sub, including going inside the pyramid. So for the first time, I've seen what was inside the pyramid. It wasn't much. It was just a relic. So another relic has been added to the collection. I've also discovered this weird altar, which everyone says there is a snake that comes out. I tried to make it to dust to see the snake. I don't know what it is. There's like a crack. It's an altar. It's very ominous. There's a crack and people say there's a snake that lives there. I have yet to see the snake. So now I have to revisit, I think at dusk, to see what this snake thing's all about. It seems like Mr. Snake has quite a reputation that precedes him. I've actually spent a bit more time in the training area to relearn the Gaijin Hunter super combo, which I learned a couple weeks ago. Turns out I didn't properly learn it. And now I know when I've got my sword out, it is AA, ZR, ZR, AA, ZR, ZR. And you just keep doing that on continuous. And that is how you get optimal damage with the switch axe in Rise. I mastered it. Well, I mastered it. I actually know what I'm doing now. So I'm doing it, and I've also switched out my switch skills so that I can zero-sum discharge and do the Wyvern dive bomb on it, which when you do the boom, you get like a 200 damage, and then when you Wyvern dive, you get another 200 damage. Then I've learned that after that, I want to do the pull so that I can recharge my sword so I can go back into the damage. It's all like flowing this has been what I've been struggling, I think, the most, like, this far into my journey, is how do I freaking optimize? How do I actually play my Switch Axe optimally? And I think I've finally done it in Rise, where I don't think I can get more optimal than this outside of equipping better skills and all that. But in terms of the player and the controller mechanics, I've finally gotten to the optimal range of Switch Axe usage. So getting close to that mastery. So those are all of the key things. Now let's talk about monsters. So first thing in 2.0 was, you know what? Let's start with Chameleos, because that's where I went after at Hunter rank 20. Chameleos appeared. This was my first time encountering Chameleos. Apparently he's been around the series prior, and he caused me my second failed quest. I went in with a little bit too much bravado, and he just nope. This is kind of a trait of mine in all games I play. I tend to play them quickly and not always prepare properly for the next challenge ahead. And so I have not grinded much in this game at all. So my armor is a little, you guys all see Strawberry Samurai on the outside, but on the inside, it's a little lacking in the effectiveness. So I went with Chameleos with some fairly squishy armor that, well, A, squishy armor, B, bad mindset, 3, bad form, and all that led to 3 carts and a failed quest. So after that, I kind of went in, bumped up my armor a little bit, and we went back in, we being me, and I got a little bit more cautious and actually studied the monster, which is what I should have done from the start. Pretty cool monster. I was really scared about how I would deal with the invisibility part, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't as much of a problem as I thought it would be, and it got fairly predictable that it is a monster that, especially as a melee user, I need to do a lot of distance with it, especially when it drops like this gas bomb, this poison bomb, and it can either decide to spread that bomb out or suck that bomb inward, instantly poisoning you. So I was falling for that a lot in my first match. And the second, when I was seeing that it was doing that, I'm like, okay, when he does it, I just gotta book it. So it was a lot of like, book it, get close, boom, 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 book it. And when I was doing that, it became a lot more manageable, and of course he fell. So it was all about, don't be so aggressive with Chameleos. And with that, I believe that was my first I shouldn't say that, because the other serpents and stuff were elder dragons. But with that, my first 2.0 elder was slain. Afterwards, there was the Apex Arzuros, which was my first single hunt Apex monster. So we did the Rampage many weeks ago. Now I went and fought him solo. This was a fun fight. I was not expecting this much challenge from an Arzuros, but man, he hit hard. And I had, this was done in the more recent week, so I got a little bit more armor upgrade for this fight and all the other monsters I'm going to be talking about. Apex Arzuros was just like so aggressive, but very linear, and I was able to read him, so I had a lot of fun with him. But when you messed up, oh my god, he just took your health bar like down. And at one point, he stole I brought honey just in case, because I'm like, does the Apex Arzuros steal my honey too? Because that creates a cool opening that I learned when I fought normal Arzuros. And at one point I messed up, he grabbed me and he stole my honey. I was like, does this give me an opening? And there he is, just being all poo-like and eating his honey. And I'm just bashing with the Switch Axe. And at this point, not on Chameleos, but on this monster and all the other ones, I was doing my Switch Axe combo properly. And I was like, oh man, so much damage. This is feeling so good. And then he like tossed the honey. He's like, oh, he also had he could like fly in this one. Like he had a really cool ground pound where he's just like, it looks like he's flying. The animation looks ridiculous. Apex Arzuros, way better than Arzuros. If this is how all the other Apex fights are going to be like, I'm in for a treat. I say that cautiously because I know the other monsters. I know Apex Zenogre is waiting for me at Hunter rank 100. I'm like, out of all the monsters, why did they need to make Zenogre a freaking Apex monster or an Apex variant? Zenogre is my bane in this game. And now there's an Apex one hanging out with my buddy Diablos with an Apex Diablos, both of them waiting for me at Hunter rank 100. I'm just like, oh, that's gonna hurt so much. That's like, those are my black dragons of Rise. So Apex Arzuros was a fun fight. Then Kushala, so at Hunter rank 30, we unlocked Kushala. This one I wasn't worried about because I really enjoyed Kushala in World, which is an unpopular opinion apparently. And people said that they made Kushala much better in Rise. So I'm like, all right, let's go see what it is. First thing, I'm like, oh, it's so tiny. everything in Rise is tiny. So the Kushala looked a little tiny. And I was a little bit more cautious this time, but not too much. The thing I loved about Kushala in World was the fact that I could read its attacks from the get-go. When the first time I encountered this thing, I was like, oh my god, this thing is terrifying. It's like a beast. It was like one of my first Elder Dragons ever. But I was like, oh, I know what it's going to do. It's like, it's going to charge at me. It's going to do this. And same thing in Rise, where I always saw an opening to go bonk it on the head and then swing. And now, okay, it's doing a tornado blast. Let's move to the left, to the right. I thought it was a really good fight. It was a very nice dance. There wasn't too many. I think people didn't like the tornadoes in World, that he covers himself in tornadoes, preventing you from getting close. That's not really a problem in Rise. So it was just a really good time. It hit pretty hard too, but because all the moves were easy to read, or easier to read, it really felt like my fault when I got hit. So it wasn't frustrating at all. I love that I could attack from the side and not get like side check. I could attack from the back. It doesn't have a crazy tail attack. It was just a very nice, comfortable fight. And if I had to pick between this one and like all the other ones I've talked about, Apex Arzuros I think is still better than Kushala as a fight in this game. So next up we had, we increased Hunter rank again, and we went up to 40 this time, and we unlocked Teostra, which was a bane of mine in World. He destroyed me so many times. He burnt me alive, supernovaed me. So I was going into this with some sweat, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be terrible. So people did ask me to compare like the intro. I love how in episode 1 of these journal series of Rise, I'm like, I will not compare World and Rise, but it's inevitable, I guess. In Teostra's intro, they're like, which one's better? World is more epic. I prefer World. And that's usually the answer to everything. World is just more of an epic flavoring than Rise. So they're completely different flavors. It's like, which one's better? Barbecue or sweet and sour? It's like, well, they're very different flavors. It's kind of hard to compare them side by side. Anyways, food aside. Teostra, I was comfortable with him at first, and I was doing pretty good. And then he just like, he killed me once, and then he ran into me and I died. So I was extremely squishy for this fight as well. Again, keep in mind my armor is not where it should be. And then I was like, oh no, he's gonna make me fail a quest. And because I had such a good run on the before I carted for the first time, I was like, okay, I might have a chance. But then I died so fast on the second cart from something I didn't even see coming. I went full on defensive mode, where I like stay very far, go in with an axe attack, back up. Like it was a dishonorable fight where I'm like just being extremely cautious so that I'm not put off by anything. But that let me see where the supernova attack happened. I was far enough to avoid it. I was able to like see everything and just go in cautiously. It was a really terrible fight to watch, I'm sure, because I was being so cautious. But honestly, I did not want to lose to Teostra. In the end, I actually got through it. I say I cheesed it, but like I used everything I could. Like any monster I could find, I rode it. Whatever environmental impact I could have on it, like anything I could do to have an advantage on this monster, I did it. And that's the Hunter way, so you can't fault me for that. I'm using the tools the game has given me. So Teostra has fallen. And overall, it was a good fight. I just think I need better armor to not be so squishy, and I need to play him a little bit more. But man, the music on Teostra, so good. So good. And the music of Chameleos, I didn't talk about Chameleos' theme song. It was the first time I heard it. And that one was good too. And I'm just like thinking, I want to make sure this isn't an embarrassing position where I'm like, oh yeah, that Khezu theme song was really good. Like I loved it. Like I'm pretty sure Khezu's the only one that has a silent theme, I hope. So all of those fights were good. I had a good time with it. Now here's the embarrassing part. And please do not go back and watch the stream of this specific rampage. So I went in to do an Apex Rathalos rampage so I could unlock Apex Rathalos for when I eventually get to that Hunter rank to fight him. And I don't know why I went into that. People are like, you can't fail rampage, so just go and do it. And I went in unprepared, I think it's like a 7-star rampage, and that intimidated me. And I went in solo for some reason instead of going in multiplayer, and it was a mess. It was so bad, and I don't know what caught me off guard. That, like, I don't know why it was so bad, but it was bad. Like, I was being overwhelmed constantly. My installations, like, I think I was like panicking, so I wasn't being optimal in what I was doing with my installations. I think I was really like put off by the fact that it said 7-star. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to fail. So I had already like mentally gone into this with a defeated mindset, and I'm just getting tossed aside and tossed aside, and they're just destroying all the walls, and people are like, you can't fail. I was like, I will show you that you can probably fail. Well, a whole like 30 minutes of massacre and terrible gameplay later, I slayed Apex Rathalos in what is the worst rampage in recorded streamer history. I don't know how the gate didn't fall, but all I can say now is I'm pretty sure it's impossible to fail a rampage, because that was the most garbage gameplay I've ever put on display for anyone. It was terrible to watch, it was terrible to play, and I'm embarrassed by it. But we made it through. We unlocked Apex Rathalos, Apex Mizutsune, and Apex Rathian, which are going to be waiting for me when I go back. So that's my progress so far. We are now at 7 monsters remaining, unless they had some new ones, for me to complete my pledge with Rise. I have 5 Apex monsters left to hunt, which are Apex Rathian, Rathian, Mizutsune, Rathalos, Zenogre, Diablos. I got those 5 on the hit list. And then I've got 2 new monsters, which is the final boss of 3.0 and the jet engine from 3.0. I forget what his name is. Valstrax or something. Once those 7 are done, Monster Hunter Rise pledge complete, and we will be moving on to new pledges. So I've already been grinding my rank so that when we go into Tuesday's stream, I will be at Hunter rank 50, which is where the 3.0 story ending ends. I'll be able to knock out Apex Rathian, Mizutsune, and the boss, which will take 3 down. Then it's going to be a sweaty grind to Hunter rank 100, where I will have wonderful, terrible pain waiting for me with the final 4 monsters to take down there to complete my pledge. And I'm pretty sure I can get that done in the next few weeks. So that is my progress with Rise. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost done with pledge number 2 for 2021. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope I see you on the next stream or on the next journal. But until then, keep it classy.
Attention, all Roblox gamers.
So this past week, I think I slayed a pregnant dragon, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
FBI, open up!
Hedgie hunts.
Welcome to a quick update on my Monster Hunter Rise journey. I've just completed the story, which also completes the bulk of 3.0. All that's left now is closing the gap from Hunter rank 50 to 100, so I can unlock all the mean, awful punishment that's waiting for me at the end of this game. So I did a quick stream this past week because I was coming out of the whole vaccine, like second dose coma, whatever you want to call it, side effects. So I was only able to do 2 hours, but 2 hours was enough apparently, because I had on my target list 3 monsters: Apex Rathian, Apex Mizutsune, and the All-Mother, and we killed all 3. And I wasn't sure if that was actually going to happen because I was really weak all day. I was like, oh, should I stream tonight? Should I not? I was like, oh man, it's gonna like wrap it up. So like I'm at the point of wrapping up the story. It'd be so great to like end on that. I was like, okay, it's clear. Like I've got my Hunter rank at 50 already. I can just go in, kill these 3 monsters, call it a night. So start up the stream. I was like, all right, let's try it. What are you gonna try with? Let's go with Apex Rathian, because that is the next monster on the scale of Hunter ranks. I think she unlocks at Hunter rank 42. I was like, I've killed so many Rathians in my life. I've killed the normal one, the pink ones, the Rathalos types, the golden ones. Like I can do this. How hard can it be? My God, it was so hard. So I've learned about super poison, which is like poison on top of poison. And man, this Rathian just kept poisoning me like it wasn't even funny. And besides the poisoning, she was also putting poison clouds, which, just to put into perspective how trolly at least a chunk of chat is, I was like, what are these clouds showing up everywhere? And they're like, oh, they're buffs. They're buffs, hey Jay. You should go in the cloud and be buff. Well, I knew better. I didn't go in the cloud because I'm like, those buff clouds were never there before in any other fight, and I really doubt this Rathian would suddenly give me buff clouds. So of course I learned those are poisonous clouds, and also not to trust chat. My belief in not trusting chat has been reaffirmed. So the Rathian fight gave me a good run for my money. It was quite tough. There were some feints. I did manage to cut the tail off, at which I thought I was like, finally, I can stop dealing with this tail, because it just kept slamming me everywhere. Like, oh my God, there was so much slamming from the tail. So I thought once the tail was off, I'm like, well, she can't poison me anymore. But nope, there's all this like poison like gushing out, and people are like, yeah, she can still poison you, but she's got less of a less reach now. So it did help. But also after the tail came off, I spent a lot of time, like everybody came into the fight, all the other monsters, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna ride you, we're gonna go like slam here, slam there. And after a few slams, the Rathian went down, and my second Apex solo hunt was over. That is not a hunt I want to do solo anytime soon again. So after that, now I'm drained, I'm stressed, I'm like, oh my God, can I actually get these other two? Like, I'm not gonna risk. So the next on the ladder is Apex Mizutsune at rank 45, and then the All Mothers at 50. I was like, I don't know if I should do Mizutsune because I struggled so much with Rathian. Mizutsune has given me troubles in low rank, high rank, in the demo. Like, I've had troubles with Mizutsune everywhere. I'm like, I don't want to get drained again and then have to go to the All Mother fight, and who knows what's going to happen there. So I went straight to the All Mother fight. I'm like, well, I still have stamina, let's do this. And when they're like, I thought for sure I would have to fight both dragons at the same time. I was like, oh, please don't make me do both at the same time. Like, I just don't think I could deal with it. Surprised that they start off with Ibushi in the arenas. I'm like, oh, okay, we get our rematch with Ibushi in the proper thing. And of course I got flung up in the air. I was like, oh, this bullshit again. But now, once I started avoiding it, it was pretty easy. Like, I found Ibushi is a lot easier than Narwha, I believe the name is. It was kind of like the same thing with less things to dodge, like same as the Narwha fight with less things to dodge, more installation. So it was a pretty comfortable fight, if I remember right. Then we go into the hole, opens up, and then we've got Narwha who's just chilling there. And I didn't realize that Narwha absorbed Ibushi. And I also didn't realize Narwha was a female at first because someone made some inappropriate jokes about the sack being another kind of sack. And I was like, oh, Narwha's a male. And turns out, nope, that's a pregnant dragon. I think it's pregnant. Either way, the sack was probably to have a baby. So started wailing on that, and that fight was a lot harder than the original Narwha fight. It was harder, but it was fun anyways. Like, it wasn't intense like, let's say, Nergigante, where he's just always on you and like just ravaging you and throwing you everywhere and making you stress. There was always something to dodge. There was always an opportunity to try to get like to a weapon and hurt her. But it was like the timing, the windows would come in so fast that you were always on the edge of your seat. So it was a really comfortable fight. I died, of course, tons of times, did not fail the quest. And then it just like gets so much better when there's a part, I think in the first fight anyways, what's his name? Oh my God, I was going to say Zenogre. Zenogre definitely didn't show up to this fight. What's his name? Magnamalo. This is what I get for always calling him Marshmallow. Magnamalo just out of nowhere, he's like, oh, what's going on in this hole? Jumps down, becomes my ally, and then I can ride him. And then the whole theme of Proof of a Hero is like, like just squealing inside. I'm like, this is how you end the game. And I'm so glad that they like fixed it. Oh, I should have probably started this whole show with spoiler. Editor, please put this in the beginning. There are spoilers, big spoilers in this episode of this journal. Do not watch it if you have not completed the story of Rise. All right, back to where we were. The whole, including Wyvern riding, especially on Magnamalo, with Proof of a Hero, just putting all that together with the installations, I'm like, they nailed it. This is so much better than putting Proof of a Hero and freaking Ibushi in the middle of a rampage. That was garbage ending. This was primo. And I saw people saying in the chat, this is one of the best endings to a Monster Hunter game. This is my second, so I don't have too much to compare with. And a lot of other people are saying, it's kind of a bad fight. So there seems to be people on both sides here. I'm going to say I really loved it. It's an arena. It's a big monster. The music was fitting. You actually have to use all the new mechanics in the game. Wyvern riding, bug swinging, all of that. It was a pleasant fight. Lots of things to dodge. You could either like hit it with your weapon or you could hit it with the weapon installations. It just had everything in it that I can't complain. It's not like Ibushi where it's just like I'm being flown in the air. Oh no, I am in so much pain. So the All-Mother fell, and then I think the credits were kind of like, yeah, I mean, the village was happy. Everyone's like, yeah, okay, we're all happy. The ending didn't leave me feeling as much as, like, let's say when World, we're going to talk about World again, when credits rolled for the last time after the Iceborne story ended, it just hit me more personally because of, like, there was this camaraderie. You had gone through, like, this entire camp. I think there was more character development in general. So when everyone is celebrating and toasting and the music, it just felt like so at home. I felt at home, and I felt like I was cheering with friends, whereas when the Rise finished, it felt like I completed a game. When World finished, I felt like I completed an experience. Here, it felt like I completed a game, and I'm just like, well, the game's over. Let's keep, like, okay, what else is there? Let's do the endgame stuff. Let's unlock all the other stuff. And I think a lot of people have described Rise like that, where it removes a lot of the fluff, and it's all about just hunt a monster, hunt a monster, hunt a monster. And it really puts more focus on the gameplay, and that's great. I mean, it's good to have a game that meets every need, but I really did like more of that experience in World. It just left me more full. It was more of a full, satisfying experience for me. So after that, I was like, all right, let's see if we have enough energy for Mizutsune. I also learned Mizutsune is apparently easy to do in a headlock, where you, like, just keep smashing on the head and knocking it over. So I went into that fight with that. Mizutsune, freaking terrifying. Like, now it's all, like, darker, edgier. I was like, oh no, darker, edgier probably means darker, edgier attacks too. But it wasn't too bad. Like, I was a lot more aggressive with it. I was really focusing on, like, smacking the head so it went down. And there is a part in the fight where it was like, smack the head, it was down, it came back up, smack it down. I think like 3 times in a row, I just kept it on the ground because I was smacking on the head. And it went down pretty easily. So I'm so glad I did that after the All-Mother, because the All-Mother, that took a lot out of me. That was, like, I was getting sloppy towards the end because my reflexes were just dipping. Mizutsune was good, comfortable, good fight. I think I preferred this one, but maybe it's because I need to go back and play the other Mizutsunes with that headlock understanding. But anyways, now it's all about grinding. I'm going to do a lot of grinding off stream so I can get to level 100. And then I've got some massive pain waiting for me. I've got Apex Rathalos, which I think I'll be able to defeat with some difficulty. Apex Diablos and Zinogre. I don't even know. Like, maybe the Apex Diablos I could see, like, conquering. Apex Zinogre is, I don't even see how I'm going to do that. And then what's the fourth one? We've got one I don't even have a reference for, the jet engine monster, which I've only seen cutscenes of it. It takes off like a jet, it becomes like a little light, and then it bombs you from orbit. How am I going to deal with that? I don't know. So I don't know if I can get through all 4 of those in a single stream, but my goal is to get to that, finish that, and then we have cleared every monster in this game, at least where it is now, and then I'll have to come back as they add more monsters in, if they add more monsters in. So those are all of my updates on Monster Hunter Rise. I'll see you in the next, potentially final Monster Hunter Rise journal, and until next time, keep it classy. Pledge complete. I've finally perfected the Strawberry Samurai hairstyle. I also finished hunting all the monsters in Monster Hunter Rise.
Khezu hunts.
Welcome back to a Monster Hunter Rise journal, the final one in my original pledge, at least until they add more monsters. But for now, we can put the Strawberry Samurai to rest. He can go retire, enjoy the strawberry fields until new monsters awaken him from his slumber. So if you've been joining me for the last 4 or 5 months, I made a pledge to defeat all of the monsters in Monster Hunter Rise and also World, but we're not going to talk about that because there's a big black dragon that's causing me issues there. But Rise is done. This past week, I finally made it to Hunter rank 100, unlocking the final few monsters that are available in this game at this time, and I have slayed them all. So join me as I recap my last few slays and the whole journey that got me here and my high points through it all. So started off the stream with an Apex Rathalos. I expected this to be my easiest fight out of all 4, considering we're talking about a monster I hadn't met, aka Valstrax, a freaking Zinogre again, and a souped up Diablos. All of my arch nemesis with superpowers. So in Apex Rathalos, I was like, all right, that's hard, but it should be not that hard. I've never really had a major challenge with Rathalos, so an Apex Rathalos is probably going to be difficult, but not impossible. And of course, I fainted once, and otherwise he fell pretty comfortably. It was a nice, comfortable fight. I have really no complaints about it. It was a fun fight. Here I was a little slightly disappointed at first that at Hunter rank 100, Valstrax gets unlocked, but you have to defeat him to unlock Apex Diablos and Apex Zinogre. I was really hoping to end on Valstrax because he's a new monster, and I haven't had a new monster since the Allmother. So anyways, I had to take him on, and I have to say, this monster blew me away both figuratively and literally as I got caught in his embrace of wings and got my face blown off my entire existence. What an awesome monster. I don't think I've ever been in such awe. My fear turned into excitement so quickly. First at this monster's appearance, that he's like a jet engine, just this like red dot flying in the air. Like his opening cinematic was really cool, first of all. And then I see him and he's just like this like beautiful, slick, like black dragon with like this shiny red thing. And then I see his wings open up and he's got like this blast coming out of both wings. Just fantastic, super beautiful monster. Like right away, first impression, I love it. I want to get in there, but I'm still like, whoa, my God, what's this thing gonna do? So going in, learning the moves, he has massive reach when it comes to the wings, but just watching this monster move was so interesting. From the way that he went, like from his wings in the back, he had attacks, and then he would like flip them in front to have like thrusters in front, and he would like shoot missiles at you. He would have like a final flash attack, which I stuck my face in at one point, and just like the like reach and slam, just such cool attacks. Not like it has nothing, no other monster has an attack like that. It felt like some kind of like modern machine that was embedded into a monster, which felt a little bit out of place but still in place, and it just offered so many new things. It was cool. The music to it was amazing as well. Like, just I love everything about this monster. And then there's a part where he charges and you see like the chest glow. I was like, oh, that looks like something I need to hit. And I go and I hit it a few times, and it explodes, doing like more damage on him and canceling whatever he was about to do. And I was like, oh my God, that is a mechanic where as a new hunter, that's fantastic, because it gives me, as a new hunter to this fight, enough time to understand that like, oh, here's a trigger. What happens if I do it? And it actually delivers. Like, it's not one of those fights where you're not sure what's going to happen until you experience death and you're like, oh, I have to avoid that. I see. You know, like an Alatreon fight where you're like, what am I doing? Oh, I actually have to do elemental damage. Like, I knew this going in, but the first hunters who took on Alatreon probably didn't. And they probably had to die many times before they realized, oh, you have to do elemental damage. So, Valstrax, fantastic fight. And then even like the whole thing was great. It was scary to be engaged with him, but like I still managed to fight him comfortably. One cart, not bad considering a first fight new monster. And then I got to see a whole new switch axe, a whole new armor set, which at first I was like, oh, this sucks, I don't get it. Like it's all like all sharpness, no sharpness. It's like red or white. And then there's like the attack slower. So I looked at this and I was like, this is no good. And the chat was like, hold up, man, you don't know how to understand or appreciate a switch axe. So we actually did some math and they walked me through, and I actually understood in Rise you have the numbers you're seeing are true values, unlike World where you have to divide everything by 10. So if I took my attack and I took my elemental damage of the Valstrax axe, and then I consider that has more sharpness, which has a higher crit multiplier, and I do all these things, I'm like, oh, I see, okay, that's good. And then I didn't realize there were like skills on the axe, which when I went to that menu, that boosts your attack as well. And then I look at the armor, and it's all about like you go into Dragon Blight and you get like affinity boost, attack boost, and you just become like a tank. I was like, oh, okay, this is a whole different build than what I'm used to actually want to inflict Dragon Blight on you so that you unlock like all these other buffs. Not what I'm used to, but I'm down to try it. So as part of an off-screen experiment, I actually want to try grinding out the Valstrax armor, just trying to do a whole build just to see what it's like. So now that basically the Monster Hunter Rise streams are going to be are done until they add new content into the game, in which I will bring the game back on stream, and that's when we're going to fight new monsters. Otherwise, I'm going to be keeping everything off stream now as I focus on other games. So finally, the Valstrax fell, and we unlocked the next my two arch nemesis, one of my world arch nemesis, Diablos in Apex form, and the Zinogre, which, man, that thing hurt me bad throughout my entire journey. And to have that be my final challenge in this game what a like poetic ending to the whole thing. So Apex Diablos was pretty comfortable. He looked a lot cooler. I like his darker look. And I got hit by, I think it's like his like super souped up steam train, like steamroll attack, because that thing is aggressive. I turned the camera around, I saw Diablos, and then I saw the camp. I died so fast. So I realized, okay, let's chill on the aggressiveness. But I did learn too, like I remember the first time I took on Diablos, I was so scared of him, I kept trying to get away from him. And that's where he would hit me with the tail, with the horns, everything. Now I was always like, no, gotta be on him, gotta stick to him. I'm like a fly on poo. And I realized a lot of his attacks couldn't hit me because I was so close to him. So it was kind of a trade-off of being close. Actually, it wasn't a trade-off at all, because being close meant I would not get hit unless he did his like jump up and down into the ground, which was a cool attack. It's kind of crazy to see a Diablos jump straight up and lift himself off the ground. So Apex Diablos was a fun fight. Again, got a cart there, but for the most part was fun. Apex Zenogre, like I said, what a poetic ending. This monster I discovered first in Rise, despite it being in World. I fought it first in Rise. He destroyed me in village rank. He destroyed me in high rank or low rank, wherever else I found him. He just destroyed me throughout the whole thing. So, of course, I was fully expecting to die to this one too. But I think I've gotten so much more comfortable with my switch axe in this game. I have to say, I prefer playing the switch axe in Rise than in World at this point. I just know what I'm doing with it better. It's more responsive, it's faster, and I'm just more confident in its usage. Whereas in World, it's a bit sluggier, like more sluggish, that I'm not always pulling off what I think I should be pulling off. It goes smoother in Rise. So the Zenogre fight, oh my god, he was aggressive. Like my usual playstyle and everything else, I had to toss it out the door. Like I could only get in, like do one hit. Dodge, dodge, dodge. Finally, like when he was down, that's when it's like punish, punish, punish. Like I had to play so much more careful around him. He did give me a cart, which I consider progress, because usually he carts me twice or fails the quest. This time only one cart. He did fall, but man, that music, like he felt like a final boss, and he looks so much better in Apex form. I love his color. He's like full gold. He's like got the Super Saiyan 3 look, and yeah, the music's cool. He's super aggressive, and it was a good rush. It was just a fantastic rush. And with that, the pledge was done. All the monsters in Monster Hunter Rise were done. So as I wrap up my journey here, I really want to reflect back on my whole Rise experience, because yes, it's the demo that got me into Monster Hunter after all, but I have to say that like when I got into Monster Hunter Rise, I was already like 50 hours or so into Monster Hunter World. I already kind of knew monsters at this point. I understood the game. It wasn't like stepping into World where honestly I thought I was going to hate the experience. I already had kind of one Monster Hunter game on my back. I was going in with a little bit more knowledge. So the WoW factor was a little bit more dull than in World. And a lot of the monsters too, I already knew, so there wasn't as much of a discovery. That said, it still led to a very different experience than World. Like there are two different experiences, and I still had a lot of highlights with new monsters I met here. Like I remember that the first few fights I was going through and I was cleaning everything. I'm like, this is so easy. I know what I'm doing. I was just like switching my axe all over these monsters until I met Tetranodon, who's a new monster to Rise. And Tetranodon turned out to be one of my favorites just because of the moves, because of how the editor put together a video and like put all these memes around him. And he was also my first cart because he taught me, don't be so cocky, because that's how you die. I was going in, with all my World knowledge, and he slapped me because I wasn't paying attention, and the games are different, the mechanics are different, and I wasn't paying attention to my life, and he carded me. So Tetranodon was one of my first like good memories of this game. This is also the first game I met Khezu. So unfortunately, or fortunately, probably unfortunately, my first impression of Khezu came from Monster Hunter Rise, and that thing too was hard. Like I was using the charge blade in the beginning of my journey because I was trying to learn a new weapon, because I was like, I know how to use the switch axe. I didn't know how to use the switch axe. And Khezu was the one who convinced me that the charge blade, I wasn't there. I needed something that wouldn't bounce off him, and that's what made me switch to the switch axe. And I never looked back. And honestly, I had a lot of learning to do with the switch axe. So if anything, now would be the time to try a new weapon in Rise, because now I feel I actually know how to use the switch axe. So the whole lore of Khezu I got introduced to here. There's a lot more Khezu to discover in the older games. This is also Zinogre, where I met my Rise arch nemesis of Zinogre. I talked a bunch about him earlier, so I'm not going to go over it again. The Rampages, my love-hate for the Rampages. Honestly, it was mostly hate to tolerable. Like, I still don't love Rampages. I still don't really want... I never crave to do a Rampage. Like, if I see one, I'm like, I guess I'll do it. But it's never like, oh, I gotta get some friends together to do a Rampage. I just don't care about that mode. I just don't like it that much. The Gaijin tutorial stream. So I had a stream where Gaijin actually was watching, and we watched one of his Switch X tutorials together, and he was giving me notes as I was trying to, like, I was watching the tutorial while trying to play the game at the same time, like redo what I was seeing. That was another highlight, which actually really taught me how to do all the best combos I know in the with the Switch Axe in Rise. So that was another highlight. You know what? I completely forgot this half of the page where I had some notes on some things I had learned at the end of the game. So I think it took me 60, 70 hours to get through all the monsters. And in the final stream, I was still learning things such as the bushes. Chat has been telling me to cut the bushes for so long. And I finally understood, oh, when you cut bushes in Rise, it unleashes like all these like buff birds. And also the buff birds, which I've mostly disrespected throughout my whole journey. Like for these last monsters, I was like, where are my buff birds? I want all the buff birds. And I could appreciate that extra buff makes quite a difference in fights. So all these things that were like clicking in the final stream, still very important because there's still more content to come out. But these things finally happen. Another thing that happened is off stream, I had to grind from, I think I grinded 20 to 30 levels off stream. And I really learned a lot in that time of just being focused and optimizing and grinding, specifically when it came to the talismans. So I explored them a bit on stream, but it's not until I was just kind of mindlessly going through hunts and like, okay, what else can I do? I should really load up on these talismans. How do these different melding things work? And then I learned to appreciate the talisman because I have so few 2-slot decorations in my armor. I was like, oh man, I really wish I could have more skills. And this one talisman where I had to merge like 20 talismans into like another 5 is when I unlocked some like special one, and it had a 2-slot decoration in there. I was like, oh, and plus skills. I was like, oh my god, these talismans can do so much. So the talisman grind truly began where I truly appreciate this. And I'm like, this is the end game grind that I was commenting on, that I kind of wish I was part of in World. I'm finally getting it now. And between fights, I was going back and getting like a whole bunch of talismans. I think like 5 talismans after each hunt. And by the end of it, I ended up with like a talisman where, without anyone telling me, without me looking, I was like, that looks really good. And I showed it on stream. I'm like, this is a fantastic talisman. It has, I think, a 3-slot decoration slot and a 2-slot decoration slot. So I'm like, that's fantastic. And then it had like a 3 level evade window and another skill on it. I was like, this is freaking fantastic. I was like, what else can I get? I haven't gotten anything better than that yet, but I like just appreciate this whole like lottery of like, okay, give me some talismans, get all these talismans, merge them into more talismans, keep making talismans, and let's go. Let's make talismans because that will unlock more skills, which can unlock more of my play set, my play style. And I'm also now pulling up like these calculators off screen. I'm like, all right, what is actually like attributing to my damage output? What is causing me to like do this number? And can I get that number up? Okay, I need these crit multipliers. I need these sharpness multipliers. And it goes on. So I'm starting to be like in that end game phase where I guess this is what we call max mining, where I'm like, okay, how can I squeeze out more power out of my build? And I'm just like trying to figure these things out. And I really enjoy that part. So where do we go from here? So like I said in my update video, we're going on Tuesday nights, we're going to a Dark Souls challenge where I'm going to try to play that through the end of the credits. And Monster Hunter Rise, when new content drops with new monsters or anything really new that's worth doing as a stream together, I'm going to be slotting that in on the Thursday. And otherwise, I have a pledge to complete in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and I'm eventually going to be revisiting Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate later this year. So I'll see you in more journals and more streams. This was a fantastic journey, and I'm glad I embarked on it, and I'm really happy you all followed along with me. So here is why these 13 journals is why I bought Monster Hunter Rise. I'll see you next time, and until then, keep it classy. I understood the game. No, Tetranodon, it's like this.
Yes.